Hello and welcome to the Golf Course Lawn Show. My name is Ron Henry and I'm here to help answer your lawn care questions. Now, if this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. Super happy to have you here. The way this works is really simple. On your screen, you will see a chat box, and in that chat box, you can enter your question, concern, comment of the day, and I work through them in the order that they come in. Now, sometimes I have the answer, sometimes I do not, but sometimes you have an awesome time, or most times you have an awesome time talking about lawn care and sometimes life. Guys, we are approaching, we're on the tail end of May, which is pretty good. We're finally getting some warm weather, consistently hot weather here in Georgia and I'm sure other parts of the country. And yeah, tonight should be a great show. We got some questions about fertilization, about spoon feeding. And, the big thing I want to talk about tonight, as far as what you guys saw as the title is like focusing on small wins. Like, a big thing that you have to realize in lawn care is that for many people, unless you've been really committed to this process for a long period of time, like most folks in like March, April timeframe, they remember they have a lawn and they're like, I want to get my lawn looking as good as possible. And depending on where you're starting, that can also, or in many ways, it really drives, what kind of results you're able to achieve, that and your consistency and the work you put into it, right? But it's really important to always look at the small incremental improvements that you're making along the way. This is why I always tell folks, anytime you're working on your lawn, really, really important to take pictures, because when you look at something all the time, it's really difficult to see, how much progress you've made, over the time you've been working on it. So just something to keep in mind. And again, we'll get into some more tonight as we get talking. As always, we're coming to you guys on YouTube. You can get the content there. You can also watch the show on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook or Meta. So whichever way suits you best, feel free to participate. Super chats are still not working, so if you would like to support the show and get your comment or question bumped to the top of the line, feel free to make use of the Cash App link, which you will see, conspicuously posted there on the screen. So feel free to make use of that if you so desire. All right, let's see what we have for this evening. Let's get this rolling. We have, first of all, Mr. Tyler. Tyler's starting off about a question about setting the height of cut on his Bermuda grass. He says, "Hey Ron, my Bermuda is thick and green at about 2 inches. I want to start cutting low. I've been told to scalp and dethatch and then start maintaining at my preferred height. Would you agree with this?" Yeah, to a large extent. I mean, the dethatch, I am not necessarily in agreement with unless you're going really light and unless your lawn really needs it. A scalp with you bagging the clippings really should be all you need. Now, as far as how low to scalp, what I'm a fan of that I think is a good balance between the amount of work that you're putting in, wear and tear on your machine, and just achieving the desired result is pick whatever height of cut you want to maintain the lawn at and go about 1/4 of an inch lower than that. So let's say you want to maintain the lawn at 3/4 of an inch, right? So you decide you're going to get into real mowing and you're saying, you know what, 2 inches, I'm not about that life anymore. We're going down to 3/4 of an inch, right? So if you're going to do your scalp, you could scalp the lawn at say 1/2 an inch, and then allow it to grow in to that 5/8, 3/4 of an inch height, and just maintain it there throughout the season. That's how I would recommend doing it. Dethatching, most lawns, in my opinion, do not really require that. And if you're using that like a true dethatcher, it's very aggressive as far as the amount of injury that it can cause to the lawn, to a Bermuda lawn. And I don't really think that the benefits are really worthwhile. If anything, I would say scalp the lawn. If you can get your hands on a verticutter to help thin things out, like I'd be fine with that. But most dethatchers tend to be more like more of a tearing action. And for a lawn or for a grass type that relies on stolons, on surface runners for spreading, like horizontal shoots for spreading, it just creates a lot of necessary damage and stress that I don't think is personally worth it. So hope that helps her. Pick whatever height of cut you tend to maintain the lawn at and go about 1/4 inch beneath that, and you'll be well on your way. The thing you want to keep in mind too, Tyler, before you get going is you will see, depending on where you look on the internet, where you like to frequent, you'll see folks maintaining their lawn at heights under 1/2 an inch. Some people claiming, 1/3 of an inch. Some people like me saying, 3/4 of an inch. The thing you need to keep in mind as you embark on this journey of lower mowing is that the lower you go, the more you're going to frequently have to mow the lawn. So with my lawn as it sits now at 3/4 of an inch, I can show you what it's looking like. This is from last week. I didn't get any more video today, but it looks pretty much the same as it does last week. That's sitting at 3/4 of an inch. That's Bermuda grass. And as far as mowing requirements to keep that looking nice, keeping it green between mowings, I could really cut that every 2 to 3 days, and it would be just fine. Now, if you decide you want to get on a program where you're mowing the lawn at 1/2 an inch or below 1/2 an inch, even if you're using plant growth regulators, you're still going to really want to be consistent with your mowing. Where you're out there pretty much every other day to keep it green between cuttings. And something else you got to keep in mind as well too, if you decide to go this route, is the shorter you intend to maintain it, the more frequently you're mowing it. The more frequently you're mowing it, the more frequently you're injuring it, and the likelihood or the chances of you having potential problems with the disease, especially if you're not really meticulous about keeping your equipment sharp and well adjusted, goes up. So while I say the lower you go, the more you have to mow, really a more accurate, a guy that said this to me one time, it actually made a lot of sense, and I've kind of stolen it from him, that the lower you go, the more you have to do, right? So it's not just more frequent mowing. You got to make sure your equipment is on point, and also you have to like commit to some kind of a fungicide program depending on what height of cut you decide you want to really run the lawn at. So hope that helps, sir. Congrats on taking the plunge to lower your Bermuda grass lawn to a lower height. I think Bermuda looks better the shorter it's cut. So 3/4 of an inch, I think, is a great sweet spot. If you really got a lot of time, you can go somewhere between 1/2 an inch, 3/4, 5/8 is nice. But really, once you start getting below 1/2 an inch, even though Bermuda tolerates it just fine, the color's not as good. It doesn't stripe as well. The mowing requirements are a lot higher. Chances of you having disease problem are higher. So just, in my opinion, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. But your world, we just live in it. You can decide what you want and go from there. All right, next up is Mr. Claude. Claude Thompson has a question about using liquid fertilizers. He says, actually, here we go. He says, hey, Ron, hope all is well. Claude from Connecticut with a cool season lawn. I have 2 questions. Question uno. If I'm using Release 901C and NutriKelp in my program, would you suggest the 22-3 liquid fertilizer and kelp with fulvic acid, or the micronutrient blend liquid fertilizer with 2% iron? Yeah, so if you're using 901C and NutriKelp as your liquids, or you're using 901C as your nitrogen source, what I would say is to go with the micronutrient. There's no real need to do the 22-3. I have a couple of people that have emailed me saying that they have both, And they said, well, I really want the micronized carbon that's in 901C, but I've already got the 22.3. So in that case, what I tell them is to back the rate down on 901C and also on the 22.3 fertilizer, because you really have two nitrogen sources. You really don't want to overdo it. In your case, 901C, NutriKelp, and the micronutrient is what I would do. As far as application rates, 3 ounces per 1,000 on the 901C, 3 ounces per 1,000 on the NutriKelp, and 6 ounces per 1,000 on the micronutrient blend. So just take that rate, those numbers, and then multiply them by however, what kind of sprayer you got. You got a 4-gallon sprayer, take all those numbers, multiply them by 4, and that will cover 4,000 square feet. So I hope that helps, sir. Good question. That's a great program. I ran that for part of last year, and then this year now I'm doing Release Zero, the Release Zero carbon kit, and the 22.3 fertilizer. But they both produce excellent results. It's not like you're really, it's like what's your preference. They both will work really well. You're not really missing out either way. All right, Claude. So thanks so much for the question. And then next up, you have a question. He says, how many times in a season should insecticide and fungicide be applied? So it's a good question. So when it comes to insecticide, really, there's 2 times out of the year that I like to do it, because it's when the larvae from grubs or the larvae from beetles tend to be more active, and when they can increase the chance of doing damage to your grass. So the first time has already passed. It's really in late March, April timeframe is when you want to get your insecticide out. And then another application in late July, early August is also a good time to get it done. Also from the standpoint that is preventing damage from turf caterpillars like armyworms. Like 2-3 years ago in Georgia, probably across the entire country, but in Georgia we had a lot of problems with it as well too. Armyworms were destroying lawns left and right. So an application of acelepryn in the spring, so late March, early April timeframe, and then again in towards the tail end of summer, late July, early August, is going to do a really good job. As far as fungicide applications, I'm a fan of using fungicides preventatively. So really, you would do a fungicide app this month, so in the month of May, and then again in the month of June. This is especially true if you're real mowing your lawn. If you're maintaining what I consider highly maintained turf, so you're out there mowing your lawn more than a couple times per week, it really makes sense to do a fungicide app. And the reason why why I say that is because if you take the approach that you're going to wait until you see damage in the lawn before you apply a fungicide, you can do that. But the problem is that if by waiting, the damage has already been done. By the time you visually see it, the damage is already there. Even if you apply a fungicide, it's going to get a little bit worse, and then it's going to stop. And then you just, depending on the extent of it, that's how long it's going to take you to for the lawn to really recover. So I always illustrate it this way, right? If you take a look at this, which is from Headway G. So if you take a look at the Headway G, the images here, this is a lawn that was damaged with some large patch, right? So you may see this ring in your lawn. It's not good news, right? Bad time. So this is 2 weeks before an application of Headway G, and this is relatively early. Like it can get a lot worse than that. I consider this to be like relatively early, soon caught. And then if you look 2 weeks later, you can still make it out. And the lighting for this picture wasn't the best, but you can still very clearly make out the ring. And if you were there in the lawn, you could see it. So 2 weeks later, in a lawn that has a really good nutrient program, is mowed regularly, has all the things going for it, 2 weeks later, that's still how it looked. You know what I mean? And again, this was caught fairly early. If what you're seeing is damage more substantial than that, then it's going to take even longer from the time you apply fungicide to the point where the lawn recovers from it. So fungicides, in my opinion, are best used preventatively, kind of like pre-emergent, best to use before you have to keep weeds out of your lawn. So when it comes to fungicide, the springtime, late spring going into summer, so May, June is a great time to do it. And then again in the fall before the season ends in October and November. That's when I do it. So if you look at our calendar on the Golf Course Lawn Store, if you go to Resources and Lawn Care Schedule, and you scroll all the way down, or just go to option 5, you will see here that in May, we recommend our first fungicide app, and then June, another one, right? And then really nothing, until you get into October, and then you do your first fungicide app, and then your second one, and you're done for the year. And the idea behind this is that you are trying to head off disease problems in your lawn at times of year when temperature and growing conditions are ideal for the development of problems in your lawn. So hope that helps, sir. Fungicide, April and August, and then for your fungicide apps, 2 different times throughout the year, May, June, and then October, November. So hope that helps. If you need anything else, do let me know. I really appreciate the question. And it's a great question, man. I'll tell you, the like fungicide apps are, especially if you're real mowing your lawn too, you definitely want to prevent having damage in your lawn. I mean, I had an email and a phone call today, actually from someone that had a disease problem in their lawn. They got Pillar SC. It's largely arrested the spread. And one of the questions they had was like, how long is it going to take for the lawn to look good? I said, well, it depends on how bad the damage was. You know what I mean? Like, this is why really you want to prevent problems in the first place. You think about it, not to beat this to death, but if you think about like how golf courses, how greens are maintained, right? On many courses, fungicides are sprayed sometimes as often as every 2 to 3 weeks, but at least monthly. And you think about it, why do the greens get that type of treatment, but then maybe fairways don't, right? Not only just from a cost standpoint, but as far as the most highly maintained turf on the golf course, are the greens, right? They're mowed every day. If you're doing a tournament, sometimes maybe twice in a day, right? So it's being constantly injured, even though they're using sharp equipment, even though they're doing everything right, they still use fungicides as a preventative, right? They don't want there to be problems, visual problems and damage in the green before they go out and treat it. They preventatively use fungicides as part of that program. So your lawn, in many ways, you want to treat it the same way. If you're mowing the lawn at sensible heights, and especially if you're real mowing it, you're maintaining it shorter, a fungicide program is just cheap insurance for keeping your lawn looking good throughout the year. So hope that helps, sir. We do have it's like not a Cash App, but a Cash App. It's come in. Let me see what I got here. We got one. This is from Mr. Craig. Who's this from? Craig Kennedy, it looks like. Thanks, Craig. I appreciate that. And he says, great. Thanks so much for great info. So I will get you up here, sir. You are our show sponsor for the time being. Your name in lights, whatever that means to you. All right. So thanks so much, Craig. Really appreciate all of the love and support. So you can tell all your friends and family, look, man, I'm famous on the internet. You can put some respect on my name. You can tell them that. They'll be like, yeah, whatever, man. Right. All right, moving on. We have Devin in the live stream. He says, what's up, Ron? Looking forward to some great turf talk. Been busy the past few weeks and have a huge 20th anniversary tournament for the club next Friday. We'll get you dates from me to join you on the live. So what I'm hearing is that work is getting in the way of, you coming on the live stream. I mean, okay, I get it, Devin. You got to pay those bills first. So I completely understand. But yeah, man, all jokes aside, whenever you get a free minute, just let me know and we'll get everything all squared away. All right. Okay. Next up, we have Gene DeWolf. Gene DeWolf has a question about nitrogen types and a way of running his program. He says, soil test, very low end. I want to use urea 4600 as a cost-effective program for my 21,300 square foot lawn. I will apply it using my 31-gallon tow-behind sprayer, and I have irrigation. Please comment on using urea. You can do that, Gene. It's not the approach that I would take. I'm not a fan of using straight urea as my primary nitrogen source. Urea has some benefits in that it's less expensive. It is a faster releasing fertilizer. So as far as you seeing results, you are going to see that faster with using urea. But some of the negatives of it are, if you're just using only that as your nitrogen source, so you're not using like a blended type product, is urea is very prone to what's called volatilization. So you can lose a lot of it. It actually will turn to a gaseous form and you'll lose just some of it. As far as the chances of likelihood of you causing injury to your lawn if you don't apply it properly, higher with using straight urea versus using like blended products. And then probably one of the biggest reasons is, all that aside, like your lawn needs more than just nitrogen. If you think about it, like your lawn, I think there's like, there's like 16 or 17 nutrients that turf grass needs, and like 13 of them are in the soil. And nitrogen, while it is the one you need in the most amounts, it's only like one of the 13, right? So, I think that lawns benefit from Nitrogen, obviously, they benefit from regular potassium for just stress management in the turf. Micronutrients are also important. And if you're using just only urea, it's not, you're neglecting all those other things. So it's like, while nitrogen is important, yes, your grass does need it in the greatest amounts. It is not the only nutrient that your grass needs. Like, all the other ones are just as important. It just needs less of them. You know what I mean? So if you look at, and the thing to keep in mind too, is if you look at like for example, some of the fertilizers that we carry on the golf course lawn store, they have urea in them. Like, if you look at, let's go to the granular. Let's go like to Humic Max. Let's go for the old faithful, right? If we look at the label for Humic Max, you will see, if I can scroll in here, you'll see that that's too much. That like 11% of what's in Humic Max is urea, but you've also got almost 4% of slow release nitrogen. So it's a blended product. In addition to having nitrogen, it's also got potassium in it. It's got some humic acid in it. If you go to some of our other fertilizer offerings, like the 12024 or the 14714, these have micronutrient in them. So they have some iron in them, some manganese, some zinc. So they're a more complete feeding program. Now, if you're looking for a way to just, I guess, save some money as far as getting nitrogen out, you can do that. But again, you are not comparing like things. You're like saying, okay, if I go straight urea, it is a less expensive way of getting one of the many nutrients that my grass needs, just one of them. All the other ones are still important, but you're only really putting one down. And in my opinion, like, blended forms of nitrogen are a better way to go than just straight urea. But again, your lawn care program, you're free to do whatever you want. But it's not what I would recommend for hopefully the reasons that I've done a half decent job explaining. All right. Next up, we have Mace. Mace is up in the live stream. He says, your turf is greening up nicely, checking shorts you post throughout the week. I appreciate that, man. You said staff says, didn't you say no phones during the meeting? I said, yes, I did, but those rules only apply to employees, not the employer. Rules for thee, but not for me. Is that what you're saying, Mace? I got it. Yeah, man, the lawn's coming together pretty nicely. This is a picture. This was actually the thumbnail for the live stream today, but that was yesterday morning. And overall, it's not like on back. It's not like this, right? It's not quite on Bermuda quality. It's not on back lawn quality yet. But for 6 weeks in, you could see some baby stripe action trying to come through there. It's getting ready for its light top dress. So overall, for 6 weeks old, I'll put it this way. The zoysia looks better at the 6 week point than my Bermuda lawn did at the 6 week point. Granted, I know a whole lot more about grass now than I did then. But just saying that, all things considered, the zoysia is way ahead of where Bermuda was at the 6 week point of being installed. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm excited. I am looking forward to seeing the color difference once it's fully all greened up, really growing in nicely. And yeah, it'll be fun, man. It's zoysia will definitely teach you patience, because it is not in any rush to do anything. It takes its sweet time to grow. So something new, right? All right, next up is Greg Lyon. He has a question about mixing fertilizers. He says, can I mix 22-3 liquid fertilizer and kelp and Primo Max in the same 4-gallon tank? Thanks for your help. Greg, not only can you, I recommend it. It's what I do every 2 weeks. Absolutely, yeah. So the 22-3 liquid kelp, Primo, you're just doing those three. I put some new EZ, some of this in the tank as well. I get some release 0 in the tank. Yeah, so to answer your question, absolutely. I've got a video that I did that's relatively short from this year that talks about mixing fertilizers. Actually, I go through and I actually show mixing, doing exactly what you're talking about here. So in case you're interested, if you got like a few minutes to kill here and you just want some entertainment, this video here on mixing liquid fertilizers from this year, you might find useful. Let me post it so that all the other platforms also get it too. So we'll do that. All right. So take a look at that. Again, it's a relatively short video, but to answer your question, yes, they can be used. They can all be mixed together. They're all designed to be used that way. Don't need to water them in. They're all designed for foliar uptakes. There's no need to run irrigation or anything after you are done. All right. Mace has a second comment. He says, Ron, you sent me back to school and I swore I swore never, but I think your program might actually be more cost efficient based on price point and application method. Your program seems more sustainable. I'd like to think so. So here's the thing you have to realize, right? If you're comparing like what I do to like fertilizers from the big box stores or anything like that. You're comparing two things that are very, very, very different. Like what my goal and what the golf course lawn store does, and the goal behind the program, and who I partnered with as far as Miramichi Green and Lebanon and all the other vendors, is to help folks at home grow the best possible stand of turf grass possible. So like the top 5% of lawns, right? Like lawns that where on your street, there is no doubt that your lawn is the best looking one on the street. Having said that, one of the things when I worked with Miramichi Green on putting together the carbon kit and just the overall program is, if you look at a lot of fertilizers, they require that you apply them, you have to water them in, or that you can have damage to the lawn. And if you look at the products from Miramichi, one of the big things that they're all about is sustainability. Like none of their products, none of the liquids require watering in after application. They're all designed for foliar to work by foliar uptake. Mainly because if you think about it from a standpoint of us, right? Like us that have our golf course lawns at home, us running an irrigation cycle is not a huge deal. But if you take like I guess the main consumers of Miramichi's products, which is the professional turf industry, golf courses, sports, other sports fields, things like that. Like if they got to go run an irrigation cycle after they put out a set of biostimulants and fertilizer, like that's expensive. There's some serious costs associated with that. So that's why really in the program, like even in the program that I really put forward as far as spoon feeding, the only real irrigation you ever really need to run is for the granular fertilizer, right? And if you can time that around rainfall, like you don't have to really run irrigation at all, but you put out the Essential G, or carbonized PNG, Humic Max, like those two products should be watered in between 24 to 48 hours. Run your irrigation. Outside of that, when you're mixing Primo, Anew, Release Zero, the kelp product, the soil, the biospectrum, none of that stuff needs to be watered in. Literally, you mix them, you spray, and you go on with your day. Every 2 weeks you do that, and you're good. And from a standpoint of the results that you get, again, most people, if you look at the conventional wisdom of what you need to apply to a Bermuda lawn to get great results, they say, Bermuda, whenever it's growing, a pound of nitrogen per month, that's what it needs. You got to give it that for it to really look good. What I think I've demonstrated is that, over the course of several years of actually doing this, is that you can get by with putting as much as 30% less nitrogen into the lawn, into the plant, as long as you're using biostimulants and doing all these other things to really make uptake as efficient as possible, which saves you money. You have less product potentially leaching in the environment, and you get a great stand of turf grass without really overdoing it. Like you really want to give the grass what it needs and really no more. Because if you get out there and you start, pushing a ton of N, while it's, in vogue, a lot of people like to do that. Like you just creating conditions where you're going to have more thatch. You're creating conditions where you're more prone to disease problems. Even if you don't have thatch and you don't have disease, you're certainly increasing the amount you have to mow it. So there's just a lot of undesirable effects, in my opinion, from overdoing it when it comes to nutrient inputs. So yeah, I think that our program is pretty good. One is not the only way to do it. The products that we carry are not inexpensive, but they're also very potent. If you look at like NutriKelp is a good example, like that product is 24% kelp. If you go and look and search other competing products, you'll find they'll be like 2%, 3%, 4%, but like this is like 24% kelp, which is why you can get by with so little of it and still get excellent results. So yeah, Mason, hopefully, you find the content useful and, the program useful. Again, a lot of people use it. Like I always tell folks from Washington to Florida, use this program and they get great results. And, sustainability, the cost of running the program was definitely a consideration as was initially created and then refined over the course of the over the years. So I appreciate that, man. Thanks so much for the kind words. All right. Next up, let me see here. I got my moderator telling me that if I have any other, so I did get that. See, there's been one. There's been one Cash App. All right, so we're still good. We're good. I'm up to date. Okay, next up we have Navoris Smith. Navoris, am I butchering your name? Navoris Smith, I think so. All right, I think you're new, man. If not, I've never seen your name before, and if you aren't new, welcome. Hey Ron, in Central Texas with 1-year-old zoysia of cultivar Xeon. Applied both granular and liquid fungicides and grub control. I like it so far. I'm starting to see hot spots. Should I top dress even though I have weak spots in the lawn? Okay, so when you say hot spots, you're seeing some localized dry spots in the lawn. So a couple of things you might consider is to, with it can be a sign of watering, because this time of the season is a bit early as far as, as far as you seeing, uh, stress. I wouldn't expect you to be seeing stress, heat stress in the lawn this time of year. So something you can do is, one, the simplest thing is increase your watering. Outside of that, consider a moisture manager like Hydrotain. If you got some localized dry spots, you can do something like Foreplay. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. If you go to the golf course lawn store, if you go to shop and soil moisture management. So you've got a couple of options. Foreplay is for localized dry spots, which it sounds like you may have. And then as far as the moisture manager that will help reduce the amount of water your lawn needs, according to the manufacturer, up to 90 days. I apply it every 60 days. Hydrotain is a great option. So you can get it in granular form or in liquid form. Of the two forms, I like to use the granular. It's my preference because I have a larger lawn, and the thing with the liquid is you really want to apply this if you can to a damp lawn, and then you need to water it in right after application. Whereas with the granular, you can apply it and then water it in, the next day if you want to. So this is a bit more convenient for me, given the size of my lawn. So either one will work. So hope that helps, sir. I'll send you a link to where you can pick these up, or at least investigate them. And as far as your question of can you still top dress? Yeah, you can, because I don't really look at, the localized dry spots in your lawn. That really shouldn't necessarily hold you back from top dressing, but I say just you should take steps to correct it. So again, either increase your watering, use a moisture manager of some sort, and then really you should be on your way, because we're only in like mid-May. You shouldn't really be seeing a ton of heat stress in your lawn just yet. So again, I sent you the links here, sir. Feel free to read through them. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. But again, that would be my recommendation for you as far as correcting that. Yeah, I would absolutely top dress your lawn. My plan is, as far as top dressing, in case you care, is to do a light top dressing of my lawn next weekend. Time is flying, man. It is crazy. What is today? Yeah, next weekend is the planned period of doing that. So assuming everything goes to plan, and the level mix shows up and everything, next weekend I'll be out there slinging some sand and having fun with it. So hope that helps, sir. Again, if it's your first time joining the show, welcome. Glad to see that you took some time out of your Friday to come hang out with us. All right, next up is Alex Restano. He says, hey, Ron, can you explain the liquid fertilizer math? I want to start using more liquids, but not sure how to convert foliar uptake versus granular. If I want to apply 0.75 of N per month, but that would equate to a massive amount of liquid. I'm sure foliar uptake is far more effective. So what is the formula for figuring out? Okay, so what I would tell you to do, Alex, I would not set the goal of applying like a pound of nitrogen every month using via foliar uptake. What you're really going to want to do is get that 0.75 to if you decide you want to go to a pound of nitrogen, through a combination of granular and liquid inputs. Like the fertilizers that we carry, that's how they're designed to be used. So what I'd recommend is use a granular fertilizer to get about half a pound of nitrogen. So again, 0.5 pound of N, and then you can spray liquid fertilizer. So I'll show you really quick here. If we go to shop and lawn fertilizer, you can spray this guy every 2 weeks, and each time you apply it, you're gonna be putting out, I think I've got the label here, be putting out a tenth of a pound of N. So if you look at the rate card for this, so we're getting half a pound of nitrogen from granular, and then every time you spray this at 6 ounces per thousand, which is what I recommend, you're putting out a tenth of a pound of nitrogen. So if you take those two, add them together, you're around 7/10 of a pound of nitrogen. If you want to bump it up a little bit, you can go 7.5, 8 ounces per thousand. That's going to get you a bit more nitrogen and get you closer to that 0.75 that you're after. But I would do a blend, a combination of granular and liquids to reach your goal. I would not do that only with liquid fertilizer, particularly ones that are designed for foliar uptake. You're increasing the chances that you're going to damage your lawn. Like for example, even with this fertilizer, to go back to it, like the highest rate is per the label is 15 ounces per thousand, which I've never applied it at that rate personally on my lawn, and that's a quarter of a pound of N. So if you want to try and do if you wanted to do 3/4 of a pound of nitrogen like once per month using this, you're talking what is that, 45 ounces? That's a lot. And again, you are very likely going to cause some injury. So I really would not do that. Stick to this, 6 ounces per thousand. If you really want to go up a little bit, maybe to 7.5, so that would be okay too. But use a blend of granular and liquid fertilizer to reach your nitrogen goals. Another reason to do that too is that, again, nitrogen is not the only nutrient that your lawn needs. It needs other things too. And if you look at like the other ingredients that are in our fertilizers, like all of them have humic acid in them. The liquids have both humic acid and fulvic acid. So in addition to just putting out like the main nutrient, you're also putting out biostimulants, which help those nutrients to work better. You're able to put less nitrogen into the soil, less nutrient into the soil, and still get a great result in your lawn. So hope that helps, Alex. If you have any other questions, let me know. You said, yeah, for example, to get to 1/3 of a pound of N, 24 ounces, but your label rate is much lower. Yeah, because my label rate is not only recommending that you use only the liquid. Like the program is designed to use a combination of granular and liquid fertilizers. It's not just liquid. It's not just granular. It's a combination of both. I mean, you could, if you wanted to do only one, you could run an only granular program. I don't think that's necessarily going to produce the best result, but that would be a way to go. I would not do an only liquid program personally. I would absolutely think the benefits of the additional ingredients in the granular fertilizers outside of the nitrogen make it worth having that in your program. So hope that helps, Alex. Okay, next up we have Adam B. Cosgrove. He says, hey Ron, hollow tine aerating on Friday. I maintain the lawn at the lowest notch on my mower, 1.75 inches. Should I go ahead and scalp, drop the deck before aerating and sand leveling, right? If you can, yeah, if you can, I would, because it makes it easier as far as working the material into the canopy. As far as the aerator is going to do a better job because there's less, it's not like riding on grass, it's going to be more on the soil. And just, again, the biggest benefit of the lower height of cut is that it just makes it much easier to work the sand into the low spots of your lawn. Now, the thing that's interesting is you said you're maintaining your lawn on the lowest notch, which is 1.25 inches. So how are you said you're going to go ahead and scalp. I guess you're going to just, what are you going to drop? What does dropping the deck mean? So you can go even lower than the lowest notch, and that's what you're going to use for your scalping height. Again, I don't own a rotary mower, so I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about, but I mean, if there's a way for you to cut it a little bit shorter than the height you intend to maintain the lawn at, I think, 3/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch. If the lawn is relatively flat, 1/2 inch is okay. But if you've got any kind of grade, 3/4 of an inch, I think does a better job of holding on to the sand. But yeah, you can absolutely cut the lawn a bit shorter in preparation for your hollow tine aeration and top dressing. And you said, my concern is potential wash, but I want good cores. Yeah, so the aeration is the least of the two. The aeration is the least one I'm concerned about. Like, yeah, cutting it a little bit lower, is the aerator going to make it easier for the aerator to punch a bit deeper? Yes, but probably more important than the aeration a part of what you're planning to do is moving the sand around. Like if you have if your grass is tall, like 1.5 inches or even taller, it is noticeably more work to spread the sand and work a leveling rate. Whereas if it's shorter, it's much easier to kind of get the grade exactly the way you want it. It's just less work. And even like I said, 3/4 of an inch is still enough grass that it's going to hold on to the sand, assuming that you're also being sensible with how much sand you're putting down. For that, really, you want about 1 cubic yard per 1,000 square feet, which for most lawns works out to about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch of material. So if you do that, you're going to get a pretty good result, in my opinion. So I hope that helps, sir. If you can lower it a little bit, that will be fine. Yeah, so have fun with it, man. Take pictures before, during, and after if you can. On the topic of top dressing, you guys saw that Mario H last week sent us some pictures of him top dressing his lawn last week and how it looked afterwards. Hang on, I'll show you guys an update. So this is how heavy he put it down. You can see what he was working with. And then yesterday he sent me some updated pictures, so you can see what it's looking like as of today. So it's like 10 days or so later. And you can see that the front lawn is much better. Still growing through. He still went heavier than I would have, but it's still doing quite well. You know, compared to what it was before. If I can find the other picture. Was it this one? Yeah. So from that to that, week 10 days later, that's pretty good. You know what I mean? Again, because he went pretty heavy on his as far as the amount of sand that he put out, but you can see the lawn is growing through it quite nicely. So overall, great work, sir. Keep us posted. Keep sending the updates. We'll keep showing everybody how the lawn is doing. I think I sent both, right? So that one, yeah, and then also this one. So you guys got to see both updates. All right. Next up is Mr. Antoine Clacken. He says, happy Friday, everyone. We got almost a year's worth of rain last week. Don't forget to hit that like button. And that's the truth, man. It was raining every day, sometimes several times in a day. And from what I'm seeing, we are done with rain until, I believe, next Wednesday, maybe even longer. I can see what the Weather Channel says. Let's see here. I might be lying to you guys. Let's see here. Yeah, no, actually, no. So Monday, there's supposedly a chance of a thunderstorm, but then not again until not this Tuesday, but like the following Tuesday. So it's going to be, more like 10 days. So it's going to, if you're worried about turning your irrigation back on, next week at some point, probably the mid to late next week would be the time to do so, assuming you're in Georgia and you got all the rainfall that we got here over the past few days. All right. All right. Next up, we have Mr. Oscar Reyes. He says, just got off my second mow of the week at 5/8. Happy Friday to all. Cool. Thanks so much, Oscar. Enjoy the mow, man. 5/8. It's a pretty cool hike. And guys, we are I know only 40 minutes into the live stream, but if you guys would not mind hitting the like button, I would really appreciate it. So far, we are sitting at 50 likes, over 100 folks in the show. So if you can hit that like button ever so gently, I would really appreciate it. Costs you absolutely nothing to do so. All right. All right. Next up, we have Michael Thomason. He says, hey, Ron, thinking about redoing my yard with Tahoma 31. When will be the latest I should be able to complete that and get a good result before the end of the season? Really till August. I mean, you got plenty of time to still do it. Michael, so I'm not sure what kind of grass you have. So a couple of things you want to keep in mind, right? If you have Bermuda right now, so you have like 419, you said, you know what, I don't want 419 anymore. I want to go to Tahoma 31. One thing you're going to definitely want to do is make sure you do a really good job killing off your existing Bermuda lawn. So glyphosate and Fusilade 2 is a great combination for getting rid of Bermuda. So you can do that. You might even wait 2 weeks and then spray one more time. The reason why I say this is that if you've got Bermuda and you're going to another type of Bermuda, if you don't do a good job getting rid or killing off the existing lawn, what you find is that if you get some breakthrough of like the 419 or whatever you happen to have before, or heaven forbid if you had like a common, if you get any breakthrough with that, there's really not an easy way to get rid of it. So you're gonna end up with a lawn that's largely Tahoma 31 with some of whatever you used to have before in your lawn. So if you're going from like a different grass type altogether, like St. Augustine or Centipede, and you're going to Tahoma 31, that's pretty easy because there's a selective herbicide that you can use to control those grasses in Bermuda. But there's not currently, not yet anyway, I'm not sure if it ever will be a thing, there's not currently a way of controlling Bermuda within Bermuda. So there's not really a way to kill off, like, say, common Bermuda and not damage the hybrid or vice versa. So if you're going to go do this, again, to answer your question, really, August, you've got time to plan this all out, but make sure you do a really good job killing off what you've currently got in your lawn. If what you currently have is Bermuda and you're going to be replacing it with a different cultivar to help reduce the chance that you have end up with like a blended lawn. All right. Hope that helps, sir. Keep us posted as far as how it all works out for you. All right, next up is Simple Cash Offer. He says, good evening, Ron. I sent you some pictures a couple days ago. Can you do biosims and granular on the same day and hydrotain? I'm in the Midwest. Simple Cash Offer. You may have to resend the pictures to me again because I don't know if I have. So I can find it here really quickly. Oh, I do have it. I found him. Thankfully, your name is the same. Your email is the same thing as what you go by on social media, which makes it easier. Because otherwise, I'm not going to be able to find this. All right, so let's see what your lawn looks like overall, man. Goodness gracious. Oh man, That's a good looking standard turf grass right there. Not Bermuda, not like, not short grass, but overall, you still got to put respect on it, regardless. So this is his lawn. Man, these pictures look good. Gotta hand it to you. All right, so that's picture 1 that we're working with. 2, 3. Love the diagonal stripes. Really like that. You got to show folks whenever they're coming in the neighborhood, as they're driving down the street, exerting that domination. Great job also maintaining the stripe around the tree. I know that's not easy to do, and it's still nice and crispy. That line there of the light stripe, really nice. So, I gotta put some respect on it for that. We can go down here and look at this. Nice domination line between you and the neighbor. And yeah, man, overall, very, very nice work. Very nice work. We'll clap it up for that. I gotta raise my glass to that. Nicely done. So your question is, can you do biostims and granular on the same day and hydrotain? I'm in the Midwest. Yes, you can. So if you were going to do this, so if you're talking about granular biostims or liquid, I'll answer the question both ways. So if you're doing granular, let's say you're putting out, like, say let's say you're putting out carbonized PNG, your granular fertilizer, and you're also planning on doing hydrotain. What I would do is I would do your granular biostimulant first, so carbonized PNG first, followed by your granular fertilizer of choice, ideally Humic Max. And then afterwards, you could go with hydrotain. The reason why this makes sense to do it in that order is that those products need to be watered in, or they benefit from being watered in. So, and hydrotain also needs to be watered in. So doing the hydrotain application after the granular inputs makes a whole lot of sense. If you're doing, say, fertilizer, liquid biostimulants, so say you're doing like the golf course lawn carbon kit, which doesn't really need to be watered in, what you could do then is you could do, again, your granular fertilizer in the morning. That could be the first thing you put out, followed by the liquid biostimulant, so say like the Release Zero carbon kit or Release 901C carbon kit, and then let them sit on the lawn for a few hours. And then when you get to the afternoon, evening time, you can go out and then apply your hydrotain, water it in, and you're done, right? So really, the only difference between the granular biostims versus liquid is that because the liquids are designed for foliar uptake, you do want to give them a few hours, 4 hours or so from the time you sprayed, to allow them to adequately dry, and then you can go out and either put out your hydrotain, run irrigation, and off you go. So you can all do them on the same day. It just, depending on which products you're planning on using, you may have to space out the applications a little bit for best results. So hope that helps, sir. Lawn looks awesome, man. Keep going. All right, next up is R. Carter, 911. He says, hey, Ron, happy Friday. I wanted to ask, why did you get rid of your Bermuda grass? Okay, first of all, I only got rid of the Bermuda in the front lawn. Only in the front lawn, and the vanity strip in front of the front lawn. The reason why? Just something new to do. Something different. I mean, I still got tons of Bermuda. I still got 9,000-ish square feet of Bermuda. This was like last week. You can still see there's tons of Bermuda still on the property. Tons of Bermuda grass. It's just in the front lawn, that one small little area right there, that's zoysia. I mean, can zoysia get like a little bit of love? That's all it is. 2,500 square feet of zoysia. So I did it mainly just to have, I wouldn't say this really bored. Just something new to do. I've wanted to play with zoysia for a while, so this is an opportunity to be able to do it. I've never really liked the way the front lawn was graded, so this was a chance to also fix that. So I got to regrade the front lawn, get it nice and flat. If you look at the grade now, I'm very happy with how that came out. It's like a nice pool. It's like pool table flat, and it hasn't even been top dressed yet. And it gives me a chance to also play with some zoysia, right? Which is also kind of cool. So yeah, that's the whole reasoning behind it. Our card 911, nothing really other than that. And I still have Bermuda. I've got Bermuda and I've got zoysia. Still got both of them. So don't feel like, oh man, Ron is deserted. He's being Judas. He's deserted us. He's betrayed us. He's left the fold of Bermuda. We must burn his shirts, no longer watch his videos, unsubscribe, all that stuff. I still got Bermuda. I still love Bermuda. I got zoysia. I mean, I'm growing to love zoysia. It's still got a ways to go to catch up to, Bermuda's still my first love, but the zoysia can, we'll see how it comes around. We shall see. So makes for great content too, right? Something new for you guys to watch. All right, next up is Oscar Reyes. He says, I bought a bag of Strobe Pro G from Supersod. Is it effective for dollar spot, or do I need to spray it? I'm not from Strobe Pro G. I'm not familiar with that fungicide, Oscar Reyes. Just based on the name, it sounds like the active ingredient might be azoxystrobin. In which case, no, you want, at least from my understanding, like you want propiconazole for controlling dollar spot. Like from my understanding, I don't believe azoxystrobin is labeled for control against dollar spot. I mean, sure, someone will fact check me on that, but I think propiconazole is what you want. So if that's what you have in your lawn, or that's if what I'm guessing just based on the name of the product is that the Strobe Pro G is azoxystrobin, that is not, again, unless I'm incorrect, is not going to really do a whole lot against dollar spot. The good thing you need to keep in mind though, Oscar, is that dollar spot in Bermuda, really, if the lawn is getting a good nutrient program, meaning it's getting enough nitrogen, you're regularly mowing it, it rarely turns into anything. Like in other grasses, yeah, dollar spot can be a big problem, but it's not really one of the diseases that I really worry about too much in Bermuda. Large patch, absolutely. That's one you need to be concerned about because that's something that will absolutely wreck your day in a Bermuda lawn. But dollar spot, again, if you're fertilizing regularly, and it really should not really become a problem. But if in case it is, in case you have a Bermuda lawn, you've got a lot of dollar spot all throughout it, you're going to want propiconazole, or if you get like Pillar SC, tritaconazole is the fungicide that will control that. So hope that helps, sir. Read the label. The label will tell you too, as far as how to best use that product. So however the label recommends you apply it is how you should apply it. But given that it's got like a G in the name, I'm guessing it's a granular. So I imagine you just kind of put it out and water it in. There's not really designed to be like mix in a sprayer and spray. But again, I'm not really familiar with that, so I may be wrong. Okay, next up is James Bartholomew. He says, hello, Ron. Took your advice last week and sprayed out the perennial ryegrass. Definitely could notice the change when I cut it yesterday. Looking forward to getting the tiff wave going. Yeah, man, I think you're better for it, James, because really, if you don't get rid of the perennial ryegrass, your Bermuda grass is going to suffer. It's going to look sickly. It's not going to recover well. It's not going to really establish well this season. So you do want to get rid of it. I know oftentimes ryegrass is looking really, really nice this time of year. But if you want your Bermuda to do well, you really do want to get rid of it. I always tell folks, a good cue is whenever the Masters tournament is on, that's a great time to start looking at getting rid of your perennial ryegrass overseed, because like Augusta National overseed with ryegrass is a thing of beauty in April. And that's when Bermudas also happen to come out of dormancy, starting to really wake up and really starting to get its legs and get going. So that's a good time versus like setting a calendar of when you can get rid of it. So whenever the Masters is on, that's when you really should look at getting rid of a ryegrass overseed if your goal is for the Bermuda to come in and do as well as it can throughout the season. All right. Demarculus Thompson is up next. He says, greeting Rons and Stripe Action crew. Rain forecast the next 4 days in Dallas-Fort Worth. Fungicide and moisture manager down. Nice. I like it, man. Great way to make use of the free water. Nothing wrong with free water. True Gator fans up next. He says, happy Friday, Ron and Turf Gang. Ron, how often can you apply Hydrotain? Will monthly be too much? Thanks. I've never applied it monthly, True Gator fan. So per the manufacturer, they claim that it will last for up to 90 days. I guess depending on the type of soil you have, you might get 90 days out of it. I find that applying it every 60 days, every 2 months, works well. Monthly, I mean, I've never done that. I've never applied it that frequently. I don't necessarily think it's really going to hurt anything other than your wallet. You're going to be spending, versus how I would do it, twice as much money. You can be applying it twice as often. So for me, I would go with just every 2 months. That's going to work better, I think. It's a good balance between getting the results from the product while also balancing cost. So, but if money's no object and you want to try, putting out every month, that's completely up to you. But I don't really think that's necessary for most people. All right. Antoine Clacken is up next. He says, my lawn for some reason had a slower green up than usual. I can tell you why, Antoine. I'll keep reading though. He says, St. Augustine, coastal North Carolina, it goes dormant every year and full green up by mid-April, mid-May, and I still have a spot that's not 100%. All chems, I think you're saying I put all the chemicals down, all chemicals and practices remain the same. Could it be last winter's snow? I can't think of any other reason. So here's what I would tell you, Antoine. If your weather in coastal North Carolina is anything like what we've had here in Georgia, like Mother Nature has been all over the place. If you look at April timeframe, a lot of April, we had like a week or so of like nice hot weather. and then it cooled down. Like last week, we had days where it was in the 60s. Like the high was 65 degrees, like literally 65 degrees in like May, right? So you had a lot of ups and downs, and St. Augustine grass, Bermuda grass, like they really do well when there's hot weather and it's consistently hot. Like whenever Bermuda grass really lights off and starts growing aggressively is whenever the low temperatures are in the 60s, so the nighttime temps are in the 60s, that's when Bermuda really does well. St. Augustine, I'd imagine, is very much the same way. So a lot of the ups and downs we've been having as far as temperature swings has slowed a lot of lawns down. A fun fact is the last 4 days or so we had cooler weather, I could see a slight color difference in my lawn from just those 4 days of cooler weather compared to the hot weather we were having before. Like today was the first day that we've gotten, no, that's not true. Yesterday, I think, was one of the first days we got back into the 80s, and now it's supposed to be hot, throughout the rest of the foreseeable future, knock on wood. So I think that's what I would explain as far as why your lawn has been up and down as far as color hasn't fully greened up. Assuming temperatures stay consistently hot, which looks like they are, like I'm looking like 80 in the 80s here for the foreseeable future. We have one day next week, Thursday, might be 69 degrees as a high, but other than that, it's like 70s and 80s all throughout the what I'm seeing here in the weather forecast. So that's exactly what you want for warm season turf grass to really do well. So I don't think you did anything wrong, man. It's just the temperatures have just been all over the place. So hope that helps. Just keep feeding your lawn, keep mowing it, and it will do well. Nothing to be too concerned about. All right, next up is James Bartholomew. He says, how long should I wait to do a small leveling job? Definitely needs it and will take some years to get straight. Okay, so I guess you're asking, James, after, were you Mr. Tiff? Oh no, you're perennial ryegrass. So how long should you wait to do it? There's not a whole lot of time to have to wait, James. I mean, if you're using a good selective herbicide like Celsius or something along those lines to get rid of the ryegrass, like the Bermuda grass, given all the temps we have now, it should really begin growing quite well. So as long as you're being sensible with the amount of material you're putting down, 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 an inch, there's not a whole reason to really wait very long. I guess if you wanted to go do it this weekend, you could. If you wanted to wait, and if you wanted to wait till June, whenever the ryegrass has completely died off and it's just Bermuda, that would be fine. But again, as long as you are being sensible with the amount of material you're putting down, there's really not any reason to really have to wait. Like there's people that were taught in my neighborhood. One guy was top dressing his lawn in like mid-March. He did it. Now, granted, it looked like dirt for quite a while. It took a lot longer to grow in, but it was fine. It actually looks pretty good now, right? So with us now being in May, you're going to be just fine. So again, 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 an inch of material. If you do that, that will get you in a good spot. And as far as years to get it straight, dude, when it comes to leveling, I won't say you're never done, but like my back lawn this year, I'm still debating with whether I actually should top dress it or not. I mean, it looks pretty good, but when I'm on it, there's a couple areas that I can see when I run the mower on it. I'm like, that could use a little bit of sand. That could be a little bit better. So you're always going to have that either through, you're not doing a great job the last time you top dressed it, or through just whenever, through rainfall, how the lawn wears. You're going to have some areas that can always, use a bit more material each season. But I mean, it's a work in progress, and I'd say that I got the most out of lawn leveling after my second time. Like that's when the first time was really good. The second time I did it, like it got 85% there. And then really the rest of the time, it's just been small refinements over the years to get it better and better and better. So it's going to be a process, man. The one thing you'll find, James, is that the more often you do it, it'll take less sand each time. And the lawn will also recover faster because you're putting less material out. So that's also a plus side of just, frequent top dressing each season. All right. Next up, we have, sure, Jimmy, you said you core aerated, you put out biostimulant, chicken crumble, you're not putting out 40000. That's probably a good idea. And then you're putting out USJ SAM, supposed to be delivered. Okay, well, he says, will that be a problem? And can I mow without filling in the holes? Yeah, it's not going to fill in. So if you've aerated, it's not going to, like one mow is not going to cause all the holes to fill in. No, you're going to be fine. If you want to mow your grass, you can mow it. That's not a problem at all, Jimmy. All right, next up is Mr. Hayes. He says, hey, Ron, and all up to date on my insecticide and fungicide program. Just putting down liquid fertilizer and compaction cure. Sounds like fun, Mr. Hayes. Sounds like a good time. Next up is Higgy Pop. He says, happy Friday. How long do I wait for the first cut on a small new section of Bermuda grass? Whenever there's something to mow, Higgy, is what I would tell you. Like my zoysia, I said I was going to wait 2 weeks, but really like, well, 10 days in, a week, 10 days in, I was out there, I had a mower on it. So whenever there's something to mow, you should mow it. Mowing your grass, mowing your lawn is it's a good thing with as far as helping establishment and helping stimulate new growth. You know, whenever you cut the grass off, there's growth hormone that's released, and the grass will help it root in and establish faster. The thing I would tell you to be careful of is if you have, like my lawn, if you have any kind of a slope, you want to be careful with that. Like I made sure I could like tug on a little part of the corners and make sure that the sod wasn't going to come up. So whenever I ran the mower on it, it wasn't going to be sliding and like moving the sod around. So you want to make sure it's tacked down some. But as soon as there's something to mow, man, get out there and mow it. Get out there and mow it. You know what I mean? Like my lawn is 6 weeks old at this point, and it has been at 3/4 of an inch for 3 weeks out of the last 6 weeks. So it took me about 3 weeks from the time it was installed to work the height of cut that it came from the sod farm down to 3/4 of an inch. And now it gets cut with the same mower, the same height of cut as the rest of the lawn. So, yeah, I would not wait too long, Higgy. Again, as soon as I'm going to mow, get out there and mow it. That's your lawn will thank you for it. All right. I was walking by the neighborhood today, and walking throughout the neighborhood today, and I saw there's this one lawn they had like had some zoysia that was installed, and one, the gaps were really wide, but also you can tell the lawn had not been mowed. I'm not sure how long the zoysia had been put in, but there was definitely a lot of like new growth. You could see it. The zoysia is probably 3.5, almost 4 inches, which to me is that's way too tall. Like, I mean, why, if you have a brand new lawn, you're not going to maintain it at 4 inches. So, get out there with your mower, make sure the equipment is nice and sharp, go out there and cut it. I mean, it's good for the grass. It's not going to hurt anything to get out there and mow your new lawn. As long as it's tacked down, there's no chance of the sod really going anywhere. Get out there and mow it. All right. Okay, next up we have Daniel Sebastiani. He says, should I apply surfactant when using plant growth regulator? No, I wouldn't. I mean, it depends on the growth regulator, but all the ones that I've ever used, Primo, a New Easy, they do not call for surfactant. There's no need to use surfactant along with them. I would not recommend it. You're just increasing the chances of potentially causing injury. So no, Daniel, no surfactant necessary when using, again, if you're using, Primo, Trexpac Ethyl, or a New Easy, which is, what is it? Some kind of perhexahide calcium. What is it? Perhexadione calcium. Neither of these require surfactant. Just spray them and let them dry on your lawn. No need to apply any kind of spreader sticker or anything with them. Do not. And if anything, you're likely going to cause injury if you go that route. So I would not do it. All right, next up is Jared Lee. He says, what biostimulants do you use and your application schedule? You said you alternate between granular and liquid biostimulants. Also when cutting, do you cut in the same direction every mow? Okay, so I've got a video here, Jared, that you can watch. It shows my biostimulant schedule. I'll walk through it here on the live stream, but I'll also give you something that you can reference later on in case I don't do a good job explaining it or you just forget. All right. So as far as my program, what I do as far as my approach to feeding my lawn is what's called spoon feeding. So once per month, once every 4 weeks, the beginning of the month, I put out a granular fertilizer and a granular biostimulant. I can show you those right now. So I put out a granular fertilizer, granular biostimulant. So if you go to the golf course lawn store, you go to shop and then lawn fertilizer. Once per month, beginning of the month, I apply carbonized PNG. That's my granular biostimulant. And I apply Humic Max 1608. That's my granular fertilizer. So this guy I apply at a rate of around 3 pounds per thousand, which puts about half a pound of nitrogen into the soil. And then this I apply 3 or 4 bags over the quarter, over, right around 12,000 square feet. All right. So that happens once per month, granular biostimulant and granular fertilizer. When it comes to the liquids, what I do is the Release Zero Carbon kit. So we have this package that we put together with Miramichi Green, which consists of Release Zero, which is a 10% micronized carbon product, NutriKelp, which is 24% kelp product, and then BioSpectrum, which is a soil microbial food. The whole idea behind BioSpectrum is it helps your granular fertilizer, granular inputs to work that much better. So which is why I put that in this program, given that I plan to use fungicides on my lawn. So it's important to do this. So this gets mixed along with our 22-3 fertilizer that we released last year. We partnered with the Andersons to put this together. Very proud of it. Great product. Been having great feedback from it. So this and the Release Zero Carbon kit get all mixed together along with my plant growth regulator, and I spray that every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks. So how often? Every 2 weeks. So let's say you were starting out this program next month. What would happen is you would go out and apply carbonized PNG on June 1st. You would apply Humic Max on June 1st. You would also spray the liquids on June 1st. You would do them afterwards. So you would do the Release Zero Carbon kit, 22-3. And if you're using plant growth regulator, you do all of that on the same day. The following day, you would then run your irrigation to water the fertilizer and the granular biostimulant in. And then every 2 weeks from that point forward, every 2 weeks, regardless of how it falls, just every 2 weeks from that point forward, you're going to be spraying that same liquid concoction of the Release Zero Carbon kit and plant growth regulator, all the way till you get into like September timeframe. Whenever you get done with like PGRs is when you would really stop with this program, right? But the granular, that is every beginning of every month. Is that happens only once per month, and the liquids every 2 weeks is the interval that you spray them on. All right. And then the question you have is, do I cut in the same direction every time I mow? No, I alternate each time. So if you take a look at my back lawn, you see the stripes that are going like lengthwise, and as we turn the camera, they're going away from us, like towards the house in the background. So every time I mow the lawn, I alternate the stripe pattern, which is why you see the stripes that are going this way and stripes that are going that way. So every time I cut 90 degrees from the last time, like the last time I mowed the lawn, I mowed from the patio, like towards that house you saw in the background. So from the house to the house in the background. Whenever I mow, next time will be tomorrow, will be lengthwise. So I alternate it, my mowing pattern every time I mow the lawn. Hope that helps, sir. If you need anything else, do let me know. Again, the benefits, you didn't ask this, but the benefits to the spoon feeding program, the one that I outlined as far as using a combination of granular and liquids, is that you get a very consistent color throughout the entire growing season without excessive amounts of growth. What you tend to find when it comes to if you use a granular only program is you'll see like flushes of growth. Like whenever you put the granular out, 5 to 7 days later, you'll see like a nice pop in color and growth, and then it begins to fade off, to taper off. The reason why I do liquids along with that every couple of weeks is that it smooths that out. So the way the lawn looks now is pretty much how it's going to look throughout the entire season. You get rid of a lot of the peaks, the peakiness as far as color and growth when you do a spoon feeding type program. Another reason why I like to do this and why I do it every 2 weeks is whenever you're spraying a plant growth regulator using PGRs, either of these products can be applied once per month. If you read the label, they give you rates that allow you to spray them once per month. The challenge you're going to run into is when you get into the hotter times of the year, June, July timeframe, spraying Primo or a new once per month, even if you're spraying at label rates, a lot of times is not quite often enough to where the lawn isn't starting to come out of regulation at between 3 and 4 weeks. Whereas if you take the monthly application rate per the label, you cut that in half and you spray it every 2 weeks, then you don't have that problem. You don't have any of the yellowing that you can get when you spray it at the once per month rate. The lawn doesn't come out of regulation. And because you're out there anyway spraying the liquid fertilizers and biostimulants, you just throw it in the tank and you just do it all at once. Because none of this stuff needs to be watered in after you spray it. You spray your liquids and you go on with your day. So that's why I do the program the way that I do it. It allows me to get my fertilizer out, my biostimulants out, and also my plant growth regulator. And it all just kind of all syncs up nicely and works well together. So hopefully that helps, sir. And hopefully my explanation was decent. If you want to know more about, you didn't ask about PGRs, but also adding PGRs to your program and why they are awesome, why there's life before plant growth regulator and life after. Here is a blog post that we recently we updated that talks all about PGR. Talks all about pre-row, talks all about a new, talks about how to use them separately, how to use them together, and why you would want to. All right. So hopefully that's useful, sir. Appreciate the question. All right. Next up, we have Bumpy Lump. Man, dude, I like this. Your name is just fun to say. Bumpy Lump is in the live stream. He says, I'm using diesel exhaust fluid. He says, works well if you use it once every 2 weeks. I do blend fertilizer once a month. Water is the key when adding any fertilizer. Yeah, so it depends on the product you're using. So if you're dealing something like diesel exhaust fluid, yeah, you probably do want to water that in after application. If you are using any of these, any of the liquid fertilizers that you see here, none of these need to be watered in after application. So if you're mixing Primo with a carbon kit, with our micronutrient or the kelp product, or sorry, the 22-3, none of these require irrigation after you're done. So you spray them and you're done. Spray them, let the lawn dry, and go on with your day. No need to water them in after application. Another reason why it's really good to use like blended products and products that are designed, in my opinion, for foliar uptake. They're just a lot of benefits, like less cost, less time, right? All right, next up is Nick Wren. He says, new Xeon is going in tomorrow. Nice, man. Congrats. It's not like technically gear, but we'll clap it up, right? It's new, something new in your lawn, right? I went up, put out Carbon Pro and Fert before the sod. I heard a balanced Fert was the best for new sod, but my soil test showed low nitrogen and potassium. I'm confused here. So you're low in N and K, and then you just said phosphorus. Yeah, so if you have a fertilizer that has all three numbers on the bag, a granular fertilizer with all three, then yeah, you're good to go. That's what I would use. Also, because you're putting out new sod, it'll help with root establishment. So yeah, I mean, if you want to do a fertilizer with all three macros, that makes a lot of sense for a new sod installation. When I did mine, that's what I did. As far as the fertilizer I used, it was this guy right here, our 14-7-14. This is what got applied right before the sod went in. I did a super heavy application of carbonized PNG, and then so super heavy application of this, and then a normal sensible application of 4 pounds per thousand of the 14-7-14. And overall, again, if we look 6 weeks later, the lawn looks pretty good in my opinion. For brand new Zoysia lawn, not bad. You can even see the stripes coming in, right? Okay, and then you said, okay, I see the second part of your question. You said phosphorus was good. What fertilizer would you use on new sod? Also, any issues with doing this immediately before the sod goes in? Nope, that's what I did. Also, watch your series, and you did this one day before the sod went down. That's correct. Yeah, so to answer your question, would I use a fertilizer with a little bit of phosphorus? Yes, no problem at all. Just one application of that would be good. I'll give you the link to the one that I used, but you can find it under the lawn fertilizer section on the Golf Course Lawn Store, Nick, right there. And yeah, so what I did is the lawn, like Bermuda was taken out, the lawn was cleaned up, graded, and right before, literally before the sod went in, the day before, I went out and put out a nice heavy application of carbonized PNG, and then a 4 pounds per thousand application of the 14-7-14. I ran a light irrigation cycle, maybe just for it to get tacked down, let it kind of water it in. And then the next day, the team came out and they laid the sod, and then we just watered a ton. The only other thing that I did that I didn't talk about this on the as part of that video is whenever the new sod went in, I also did a fungicide app. So I put out Headway G over the entire newly sodded lawn, mainly because you're going to be watering a ton, especially zoysia. You're going to be watering it a lot, and you just want to really prevent the chances of you having a disease problem in the lawn, especially zoysia, because any kind of injury to that grass, heaven help you, you're going to be looking at it for a long time. So better just help prevent problems if you can. So if you can do a fungicide app as part of your Xeon installation, that would be prudent as well. All right. Next up is Austin T. He says, what are the key differences between synthetic and organic fertilizers, and are synthetics unsafe? I have a 3-year-old and one on the way, a dog and a cat. Is using synthetics something to worry about here? No. So the difference between synthetic and organic fertilizer. So the best way to think about um, uh, an organic fertilizer is that like the source of nitrogen is going to be, lack of a better term, is going to be organic. It's going to be like reclaimed coffee grounds or chicken compost. There's going to be something that is literally that's not very processed. Is probably a great way of saying it. And you're going to rely largely on microbial activity to break that fertilizer down and to make the nitrogen, to convert it into a nitrate to where it's available for the grass for uptake. The benefit of synthetic or more processed fertilizers is that they will often have they'll have forms of nitrogen that are more readily plant available, meaning that you will see results with them much faster than which you'll see with a purely organic fertilizer. Are they as safe? In my opinion, yeah. There's not really a ton of difference between them if you're using them correctly. The big benefits to blended products. So a good example would be this, right? If you look at like Humic Max, which is the fertilizer that I use on my lawn, right? So this is nitrogen, potassium, and it's got 16, no, not 16, right at 9%, 8.9% humic acid in it. So it's got nitrogen and potassium and also a biostimulant. So this is like a blended product where you've got like a product that is organic, like the Leonardite, which is how we get our humic acid, which helps with nutrient uptake. And then you've got various forms of nitrogen that are blended together to make up the nitrogen component of this. As far as, danger of like to people or pets, I mean, tons of this stuff is applied all throughout the growing season, all over the country. The big rule when it comes to applying any kind of product on your lawn, any kind of granular product, is you want to apply it. You're going to want to water it in. And then once it's watered in, allow the lawn to dry before people or pets re-enter the lawn. And then you're good to go. You know what I mean? So I like blended or synthetic products because they just, from a standpoint of feeding, they're just more complete, right? You can get formulations that are more tailored to what you're looking for, to the nutrient demands of your lawn. What you also find is when you get into purely organic fertilizers, is the amount of nitrogen that you can get in them tends to be lower. Like we carry one, for example, we carry one here from Miramichi, which is a truly organic fertilizer. It's OMRI listed. If that means anything to you, it's OMRI listed fertilizer. And if you look at the amount of NPK in this, you got 4%, right? Compare that now to like a blended, or more, to use your word, synthetic fertilizer. Humic Max has got 16%, 14, 14%, 12%. So you can just get much higher amounts of the nutrient. From a standpoint of like density, they're more nutrient dense than most organic offerings. So is there anything to be worried about? I mean, you can do your research. I'm not concerned about the use of synthetic fertilizers. Again, they're used all over lawns, all across the country, not only in the United States, even other countries that are a lot more, I guess more concerned about the use of this kind of stuff than I guess we as Americans are. So yeah, a big thing is, as long as you apply water it in, and you're good to go. Not saying a dog or a cat can't have allergies, but they can have allergies to other things too that are not necessarily fertilizers. So as long as you're applying the products properly at the correct rates, watering them in before you re-enter the lawn, you're good to go. All right. So if that helps. Nope, nothing to worry about in my opinion. All right, next up we have Dylan Moore. He says, would you recommend Celsius for Dallas grass in a buffalo lawn? It is the only thing that survived through my Dimension application, and it's everywhere. Yeah, so no, I wouldn't, because Celsius isn't going to really do a whole lot against Dallas grass. Unfortunately, Dylan, there's not really a selective herbicide that's super effective against Dallas grass that is still labeled for use on residential lawns. There's a product called Tribute Total that's okay, but one, it's really expensive, and it's just okay on Dallas grass. Like the herbicide that was really effective is no longer labeled for use on residential lawns. So if you are looking to get rid of Dallas grass, my recommendation would be to dig it out. Like that's going to be your best bet with a residential lawn. Just physically remove it. There are herbicides, like you look at the label for Certainty, like it's labeled to suppress Dallas grass, but you really just want it gone, man. And your best bet, again, a bucket and a weeding tool to just physically remove it. Celsius is not going to do a whole lot against Dallas grass. I don't even know if Celsius would even discolor it. All right. Hope that helps, sir. Sorry dealing with Dallas grass, but again, you can get rid of it. It's just going to take some time and physical effort to get it gone. All right. Hope that helps. Okay, next up is Rob. He says, leveling on Monday for the first time. Wish me luck. Good luck. Following your video using the same equipment and product. One question, okay to spray my mid-month 901C prior to leveling on Monday? Yep, no problem at all with doing that, Rob. You can absolutely still keep your same schedule. No worries at all with that. May says, I said before your show, I think your program is by price point and effectiveness more sustainable and measurable, Ron. Can we have another link to the magic formula? You can. I can link it here. This is the blend that I use on my lawns. Actually shows mixing it. That is not it. I did not copy and paste well. I'm failing at copy and paste, you guys. All right, so let's go copy and that right there. All right, so that's the concoction that I'm spraying on my lawn. If you want to see a couple of different options, I did a video earlier this year that shows different blends that you can use that will work well. So you can kind of make your own program. But if you just want to do what I'm doing, just watch that video that I just linked there, because that's what I'm doing on my lawn. And I think it produces pretty good results. But if you want like a blueprint video that kind of gives you a couple different options, this is one you can also watch as well too. All right, so take a look at that, and hopefully it is useful for you. All right, next up we have, let me see, we got a cash app here from Emmanuel Jacobs. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. I really do appreciate that, sir. You did the same thing, same amount as Craig. So you know what? We can see if we can get you guys both on here at the same time. So Kennedy, and we'll do E Jacobs. I had L Jacobs. Okay. Thanks so much, sir. Really do appreciate it. So there you go. Both your names in lights for whatever that means to you. All right. Next up we have Greg Lion. He says, okay, for the mix that I wrote about earlier, Primo says it should be applied at 0.23 ounces per 1,000 square feet, but liquid fertilizer is 6 ounces per 1,000 square feet. Is that the correct mix that you can use as well? Yeah, so Greg, the best answer is it depends. It depends on how you're doing it. If you're spraying, here's what, I will tell you how I would do it, okay? If you're spraying Primo every 2 weeks, which is what I would recommend, in 4 gallons of water, you can use between 0.5 fluid ounces, so between half an ounce right there, up to as much as 0.8 ounces in 4 gallons of water. That's going to cover 4,000 square feet. For the liquid fertilizer, it's 6 ounces per 1,000, so you would use a total of 24 ounces of the 22-3 fertilizer in the same 4 gallons of water. If you're doing like any of the Miramichi liquids, like Release Zero, the kelp product, those are 3 ounces per 1,000. So 3 times 4, 12. So it'd be 12 ounces of each of those, again, in the same 4 gallons of water. So to recap really quickly, Primo, if you're doing what I would recommend, which is spraying it every couple of weeks, you're going to add anywhere between half an ounce to 0.8 ounces to 4 gallons of water. And that gets sprayed over 4,000 square feet. And then I already covered the rates for your liquids, 24 ounces for the 22-3 fertilizer, and then 12 ounces for the Miramichi products. All that can go in the tank. All that can be mixed together. It can all be sprayed at one time. It is what I do on my lawn every 2 weeks. All right. The only other thing you can add is if you wanted to, you can add a new EZ to the tank. And if you're adding this along with Primo, it's half an ounce per 1,000. So a total of 2 ounces in 4 gallons of water. That again, it gets sprayed over 4,000 square feet. All right. So watch that video that I just linked in the chat. But again, it's not difficult. If you're the rate that you're talking about, like the 0.2, I think the label says 0.25, not 0.23. I think it's 0.25. I might be wrong on that, but I think it's 0.25. So if you're going with the 0.25 rate per 1,000, that is the monthly rate. That's the once per month rate. That is not the rate you would use every 2 weeks. All right. So the blog post on plant growth regulator, this one, where is it? This one right here read this, okay? So even if you don't read the entire thing, go down here to like menu item 4, where it talks about the split application rates. Like these are the rates for Primo if you're spraying it every couple of weeks for cool season grass and for warm season grasses. And the same thing for a new EZ, for cool season grasses and for warm season grasses. So if you just want to look like I have a good, like something you can consult, a table you can consult, some notes you can consult, read this. Like this is what you would do every 2 weeks. All right. And that's, in my opinion, the best way to do it. When it comes to plant growth regulator, you get all the benefits and really none of the negatives, other than that you're out there twice per month. Right. So, and for most of you guys, that's not really a negative. All right. Robert Rainey is in the chat. He says, good evening. What's going on, Robert? Hopefully you're doing well, sir. Appreciate you coming by to say hello in the live stream. And May says, what number sand should it be? I'm not sure what you mean by that. So as far as sand for top dressing, you will want like a river sand, a masonry sand. If you can find a place that has USGA sand, that's going to work well. FA10, if you're looking for a place that look for an actual spec, like an FA10 sand will be all right too. But if you just go to any place that offers like bulk sand, you say, hey, I'm looking for like masonry sand or say masonry sand, and they'll be able to get you something that looks something like that, which will work. All right. So hope that helps, Mace. All right. Let's see here. Top Gunther says, new to the channel and the academy. Welcome. He says, I just stopped by to say hi. We'll send pics when I have something to show. No worries, man. Here's the thing. Make sure you take pictures. Make sure you take pictures of how the lawn is now. And as you're developing it, so you can say, it'll be like, hey, Lan, this is how I started out. And started from the bottom. Now I'm here, man. Right? You can be like, I moved up. Moving up in the world. My neighbors can't say anything bad about me, about my lawn anymore. It is stepping up, moving up in the world. All right. Melvin Atta, he says, hey, Ron, what's the difference between a 6-blade reel and a 10-blade reel on the Revolution 26? The 10-blade has 4 more blades than the 6-blade. No, all jokes aside, the 10-blade, given the same RPM and everything, is going to have a higher clip rate. So it's going to produce a better cut, a finer cut than the 6-blade will. The negative to going to a higher blade count is if you're someone that doesn't like to reel mow, doesn't like to mow your lawn, in which case I don't even know why you're buying a reel mower. But if you are someone that says, hey, I'm going to reel mow my lawn once a week, twice a week when it's really hot out, in other words, you're not mowing it quite enough, you really should stick with a 6-blade because it's a lot more forgiving. Like you can mow the lawn at, half an inch up to whatever the highest cutting height is for the Revolution. I think it's 1.25 inches, I think. With a 6-blade. The 10-blade is going to produce a better cut, but your mowing frequency is going to be more often. For example, on my mower, my Toro Greensmaster, it's got an 11-blade reel, and I mow the lawn every other day. You know what I mean? Because I just enjoy doing it. It doesn't really need it this time of year. I could go 2 to 3 days between cuttings because it's just not really growing that fast yet. But when I get into mid-June, July, early August, it's going to require that. Like every other day, you're going to want to be out there mowing it, especially if you have a higher blade count mower, to make sure that the lawn looks good. If you don't do that, what you'll tend to start getting is one, the reel can bind up. You can start getting washboarding. As far as I don't have any pictures of washboarding, but you know what I'm talking about. If you've ever seen like a lawn that's been cut with a reel mower where the reel isn't sharp or it's not adjusted properly, you see like this rippling, like this wavy effect in the lawn. So I mean, a 10-blade, if you've got the time to keep up with the mowing requirements, it is going to produce a better cut than a 6-blade. It just is. But it's just also less forgiving. It's less tolerant of inconsistency is probably a better way of saying it. So if you're someone that mows your lawn really consistent and then you go on vacation for like 2 weeks and you come back, a 6-blade is going to be a better one to come back to than like a 10-blade. So hope that helps, Melvin. Either one will work well. I've seen pictures of your lawn. If you can, mow your lawn again at least twice a week, but really if you be on that 3 times per week life, you're going to really like the way the lawn looks with a 10-blade. Yeah, I mean, either one is gonna work well. So I would tell you, if it were me, for most people, the 6-blade is probably what they should run. If I were buying a Revolution, given like my mowing frequency, I would have a 10-blade. because my greens master is like an 11, and I mow often enough that the 10 blade would work well. All right, so hope that helps, sir. You know, I may have to see. I may have to talk to Lee and see what it was going to cost me to swap out the 6 blade, like the cutting head, for a 10 blade. I may have to see. But he's pretty busy these days. But I'm going to see what I can work out with him, because it would be cool. It'd be cool. I'm sure it would cut even better. It's a great cutting mower with a 6 blade, but 10 blade would be even that much better. All right. Next up is Stephen Thompson. He says, "Hey Ron, I've got some buffalo grass coming in a few areas in my backyard. Kind of looks like ryegrass in my opinion. I have Bermuda. What should I use to spray it out? 2,4-D certainty? That's a good question. That's a good question, Stephen. I am not sure if certainty, I don't think is gonna do anything for. I think certainty is a label for use on buffalo grass. Let me check here really quickly. Let us see. I think certainty can be used on buffalo grass. Where is the almighty label? Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, so it is. See, if you look at the label of certainty, which I got it right here, it is labeled for use on buffalo grass. So certainty is not going to do anything against it. 2,4-D might. I don't know that off the top of my head though. So you know, we carry a 2,4-D product in the form of Triad. Let's look here really quickly. It's like a 3-way. I don't know. Let's see if the label, if it has any guidance on that. I don't. Let me see if it says anything about buffalo grass. It doesn't have it listed here, but that doesn't mean that it's actually going to control it. Let's see. Yeah, so it does say don't spray it on St. Augustine or centipede grass, but it doesn't say buffalo grass, right? So I don't know. I don't know the answer to your question, unfortunately, Stephen. I know that certainty won't do anything against buffalo grass. I don't know if 2,4-D will, so I'll have to do some research on that one. That's a new one for me. It's not a question I commonly get, so I'll have to do some research and get back to you, sir. All right. All right. Next up is Navoris Smith. He says, "Hey Ron, I've been following you for a while. Just decided to tune into the live. My weak spots on my lawn are from massive grub and fungus damage." Hate to hear that, sir. Says, "How can I send you photos of my lawn?" Yes, if you want to send me pictures for me to take a look at it. Again, if someone like is in the show and you want to send me a picture, I'll take a look at it. Because I actually told you to email me. So if you want to, you can send an email to ron@golfcourselawn.com. That is my email address. And if you email me pictures of your lawn, I'll take a look and let you know what I think. I imagine that if you've got massive grub and fungus damage, you've already applied an insecticide. You've also already applied a fungicide. But if not, you should. And again, I'll take a look and I'll let you know what I think after the show. All right. Toucan Sam is up next. He says, "Hey, Ron, when real mowing, how do you measure what height you're cutting without a level that tells you?" I'm not sure I understand the question. So whatever I set my mower to, so I have an AccuGauge. I have a piece of equipment that I can use to set the height of cut on my mower, and that's referred to as the bench height. And normally, whenever you're actually running the mower on the lawn, assuming you don't have a bunch of thatch, it tends to cut just maybe a little bit shorter than what you set the bench height to. So I use an AccuGauge, and I guess to answer your question, if you actually want to measure like how like the results. In other words, if I set my mower to 3/4 of an inch, is it really cutting 3/4 of an inch? To do that, you'd want to use a tool called a prism gauge. Like Robert Rainey has one. I don't know if I have any pictures. You know what? I think I can probably find one from him. Let me see here. Because he's, most people don't have a prism gauge, but of course Robert's got one. Let me see if, yeah, here we go. Here we go. So this is a prism gauge, which will tell you, it's a great tool for measuring a couple of things. One, measuring your height of cut, but also the evenness of the cut. Let's see here. Yeah. All right. So this, courtesy of Monsieur Robert Rainey, is a prism gauge. And if you look at that, let me get this off so you guys can actually read it. You can see there how it shows, you lay it on the lawn and it actually shows you what height of cut the actual grass is in inches, in millimeters. You know, you got different measuring systems on there. And one of the nice asides of using a prism gauge is it makes it really easy for you to see how even your cut is. You can look at Robert's lawn overall. It's looking pretty good. I mean, he's getting the middle section there. He's got a little bit of puffiness compared to like the ends, what I'm seeing. But overall, we're just splitting hairs. It looks really good in my opinion. So if you wanted to be that guy, if you want to be like Robert, go out and get yourself a prism gauge, and you can put it on your lawn. You can actually see like what your actual measured cutting height is based on despite everything you set up on your mower, like what your actual height is after you're done. Prism gauge is a tool that will tell you that. I do not own one because I don't care enough. I just set my mower to the height that I want the height of cut to be at. I look at the color, look at how it stripes, and I call it good. But if you want to invest in one, by all means, go for it. All right. Let's see here. May says for $1, active ingredients like azoxystrobin, propiconazole, or chloranthanil. Are you sure about that, Mace? Hang on. Let me see. I am good to be proven wrong, but let's see here. If you look at Caravan, which is a combination fungicide and insecticide. I know the fungicide in Caravan is azoxystrobin. And if we look at the label, I'm not sure if Dollar Spot is, yeah, Dollar Spot's not on here. I'm pretty sure it's not labeled to control it. And the reason why I know that is because whenever I made a video many moons ago about this product, and someone pointed out to me that, hey man, azoxystrobin doesn't control Dollar Spot. And I'm like, oh wow, I learned something new. You're absolutely right. It's not labeled to control Dollar Spot. So that's why I'm pretty sure, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure azoxystrobin is not labeled to control Dollar Spot, mainly because I've looked this up before and I've had someone in a comment tell me, no, you're wrong. It's not, you need propiconazole for that. And I looked at it and I was like, you know what? You're absolutely right. It does not control it. So I'm pretty sure I'm right on this, Mace. Maybe I'm not, but per the label, it mentions brown patch, it mentions fair ring, it mentions other like lawn horribleness, but Dollar Spot is not on the label because I'm pretty sure that azoxystrobin doesn't do anything against it. You want propiconazole, or like if you're in BASF or Pillar SC world, you want tritaconazole. All right. Okay, so next up is Andrew Flores saying, hey guys, what's going on, Andrew? Hopefully you're doing well, sir. Next up, we got Reggie Zimmerman. He says, hey, Ron, been a while. Was late to the stream because I was mowing the lawn. Listen, man, you being late to the stream because you're mowing your grass is always an acceptable reason to not be here on time. We'll always be good with that. He says, with a real mower, he says, world of difference. Imagine that, right? Notice a couple of mushrooms in a few spots. Should I be concerned? Thanks. No, Reggie. So if you want to reduce mushrooms in your lawn, what you can do is reduce the amount of thatch, reduce the amount of clippings that you allow to fall into your lawn. That will reduce the amount of mushrooms. So I actually did an experiment on this last year. So whenever I got, actually story time with Ron. When I got the Allet, right, and I started doing regular verticutting and turf raking, one of the benefits that I saw from doing that is the amount of disease issues that I had in the lawn, like the amount of large patch, went down a lot. And also the amount of mushrooms, also like on the back lawn, disappeared, was like they were practically non-existent. In years past, they were always there. So I thought to myself, that's a weird coincidence. So I did an experiment last season where I would use the Allet, I would turf rake and verticut both. I'd use it on all parts of the lawn except for the vanity strip in the front lawn. So the vanity strip that's by the one you guys always see that's that borders or that touches Alex's lawn, not that one. The one that's right in front of my house that's got the mailbox in it, like that vanity strip. I did not verticut all season last year. I did not turf rake all season last year. I mean, I mowed I caught my clippings for the most part as much as I could, but there's still, still gets in the lawn. And that is the only spot, the only area, on my entire property, on 12,000 square feet almost, the only area at all where mushrooms ever showed up. So what I'd say is should we be worried about it? The answer is no. But if you want to reduce them, if you can reduce the amount of debris that just sits in the canopy, the amount of thatch that's in the canopy, like that is going to reduce the amount of mushrooms and other problems you could potentially have in your lawn as well too. So nothing to really be concerned about. But it was a side effect that I saw once I started committing to regular verticutting and turf raking. Like that was no longer a thing in the back lawn. Like this year, I have not seen a single mushroom in the back. I haven't seen a single mushroom anywhere because I've been verticutting and turf raking the whole thing, right? But that was an experiment I ran last year in just one section to see, and lo and behold, the areas where I did not do that, I had mushrooms. And again, it's not a big deal because what would happen is they'd show up early in the morning, and by 10:30, 11 o'clock, when it started getting hot, they would just kind of shrivel up and fall over. So it doesn't really matter. But if you just don't want them at all, then commit to regular verticutting and turf raking. Other benefits of doing that is that your stripes are going to be way better. So there's also that. All right, next up is Daniel Standifer. I am probably butchering your name. I apologize if I am. It says, should I use plant growth regulator if I still need some spots to fill in, or just wait till everything is filled in? It's really your call, Daniel. It's not really going to materially negatively affect like smaller bare spots from filling in. The thing that if you want bare spots to fill in quickly is to mow your lawn. Like the more regularly you mow it, ideally if you have a lawn or grass type that can throw like horizontal shoots that can grow via stolons, like Bermuda grass or zoysia. Like if you can mow it more frequently at lower heights, like that is going to stimulate lateral growth. It's going to help bare spots fill in faster. Growth regulator has tons of benefits. It's not really going to negatively affect like how quickly like those spots really fill in. The big thing if you want it to fill in quickly is to mow it, like mow your lawn frequently. That's what I tell folks. Like mowing fixes a whole lot of problems in lawns, regular mowing. So yeah, I got my buddy that's who we did a top dressing on his lawn a couple of weeks ago. He's got like a little bare spot in his front lawn, or an area where it was a bare spot. I think like maybe some damage from like a dog or something. And he says, man, it's driving me crazy. I'll go get a piece of sod to put over that. And I'm like, listen, man, for the love of everything holy and green, do not go get sod. Like just keep mowing your grass. It's like the size of like a small dinner plate. Like just, it's Bermuda. Like it hasn't been hot yet. You haven't been mowing as much as I tell you to mow it. So just mow it. Like he's like, but it doesn't need to be mowed. I'm like, that's the point. Like if you want your lawn to look good, like you kind of like a haircut. You know what I mean? Like if you wait until you need a haircut, like you visually look, you need a haircut, like it's not as good, right? Like you want to like always like, you want to cut your hair before it actually looks like it needs a cut. Like when it comes to your lawn, it looks best if you mow your lawn before visually it looks like, man, I really need to mow my grass. If it looks like it needs to be cut, you waited way too long. So all that big tangent and sidebar, Daniel, to say that no, it's not going to materially affect or negatively affect your ability for the bare spots to fill in. And if you want bare spots to fill in faster, mow your grass. That is going to help speed up the process. That and hot weather, but you can't really control that. All right, Alex Restano is up next. He says, my lawn is now on its 3rd year since seeding. I just core aerated and have a bunch of white cut stolons in the yard and little old material giving a less clean green than I'm used to. Plan of action. I would verticut and then turf rake. I would I would verticut it and then turf rake. I would just get the trash out. You know what I mean? So yeah, I would, you already know what to do, Alex. A light verticut and a turf rake will help correct this. That would be the plan of action that I would go with. James Bartholomew says, I use the Celsius Certainty combo to kill the perennial ryegrass. I like it. That will get it done. Next up is Joseph McGraw. He says, I have fungus in my yard and it's taken over. That is not good. Should I, what's the question? Should I till first and spray fungicide after, or spray first, till, and sod? How bad is the disease problem in your lawn that you're looking at like resodding? Yeah. So, first of all, I mean, and I haven't seen pictures of your lawn, so that might be the way to go. What I would, here's the thing, before you go through all the headache of tilling up your lawn and resodding it, I would apply fungicide. I absolutely would do that. So I would do a fungicide application, and then 2 weeks later, 14 days later, I would do a second one. And I mean, you said the lawn had some extensive damage in it. So it may take a while for it to recover some, but I would do that before I went through all the headache of tilling out the lawn and sodding. Like, that's a lot more work. And if you can use fungicide to get whatever's eating up your lawn under control, then that's a less expensive and time consuming way to correct the problem. Again, depending on the extent of the damage. As far as if you are going to go this route, would I till? I don't think it really matters, man. What I might do is this, Joseph, is if you're going to go this route where you are going to like do a full renovation, I would get all of the grading, all that work done first, and then I would put out a fungicide and then put the sod and then lay the new sod. So if you decided, yeah, I'm done with this lawn, I'm going to renovate it, I'm going to kill it off and till it up and then regrade and put sod out, before the new sod goes in is when I would put out the fungicide. Because then you're going to be fairly assured that the fungicide is somewhat near, it's going to be within the first couple of inches of the soil, which we really want to help prevent the disease from potentially affecting your turf grass. So that's, if you're going to go that route, that is the way that I would do it. But I wouldn't. What you're doing is a pretty extreme approach to solve this problem. So hopefully that helps, sir. Till, grade before the sod goes in, fungicide. When I did my lawn, my zoysia, even though I didn't have a big disease problem, it was tilled, graded, fertilizer, biostimulants, and then the sod and the fungicide went down. So I did that like literally after the sod went in, mainly because you have to water a lot, and I have zoysia and I don't want disease problems. So hopefully that helps. All right, next up is Michael Thomason. He says, Ron, second question. What product do you use to kill common Bermuda so I can resod with Tahoma 31? And is there a wait time before introducing the new sod after killing the Bermuda? Yeah, so what I would do, Michael Thomason, if you're looking to get rid of the Bermuda grass in your lawn, which is you're trying to do it all, you're trying to smoke it all out, get it all done, there's a herbicide combination that I like. It is not super cheap, but it's really good. So you're going to use Fusilade 2, and depending on the size of your lawn, you could probably get by with a little 4 ounce, because 4 ounce covers 10,000 square feet, which might be all you need. So Fusilade 2, and you're going to pair that with glyphosate. So Fusilade 2 and this is what I use on my lawn, Roundup Quick Pro. So these two mixed together. So this is like a 73% glyphosate product, and then Fusilade 2, that combination is really good for killing Bermuda grass. Again, because you currently have a common Bermuda lawn, normally this is like a one and done, but just to be super safe, just to be like out of an abundance of caution, what I would do is I would use glyphosate and Fusilade. I would spray, and then 3 weeks later, I would, even though it should all be dead, I would spray it one more time, mainly because you're replacing Bermuda with Bermuda. Like, I didn't do that with my lawn because I'm going from Bermuda to zoysia, and I have a way, like if I get some break, or I should say when I get some breakthrough, when some Bermuda breaks through to my zoysia, I've got a herbicide combination that I can use to selectively control the Bermuda grass in the zoysia, but you're not going to have that. So if you don't do a good job getting rid of what you currently have, you want to minimize as much as possible, breakthrough, at least delay it for as long as you possibly can. You know what I mean? So in your case, if you're trying to be super, super cautious, glyphosate and Fusilade, give it a few weeks, spray it again. And then after your second application, I'd say 2 weeks after that, you can go ahead and do your Bermuda grass resodding with Tahoma 31. So this whole process is like a 5 week, like a month, like long process, but I'm having you do 2 apps and having you space it out to make sure you give it adequate time to really get a good kill off. Because again, in your case, you're going from Bermuda to Bermuda, and there's no way to really get rid of the common Bermuda out of your Tahoma 31 if you don't do a good job getting rid of it. So that's why this is a little bit more extensive than like what I do with my zoysia, because I can get rid of the zoysia, or I can get rid of the Bermuda in my zoysia. but in your case, you're not going to be able to. All right. So hope that helps, sir. Hopefully the explanation was decent. If you want to know like the rates and the combination that I used, I've got a video on the interwebs that shows how I did it. Where is it? Pretty sure. Yeah, here we go. This one right here. This one shows the concoction that I use, the rates that I use, all that jazz. So read this or watch this, and it will give you, one way of going about doing it. It's what I did on my lawn. All right. Okay. Next up is Antoine. He says, thank you. The temps are probably why those low spots in your backyard, instead of top dress, maybe a small bottle of sand on the mower, like the divot bottle on a golf cart. Just an idea. Yeah, I thought about that, man. Because really, it's only, let me see, there's 3 areas, and they're like maybe like 6 foot by 6 foot by 2 foot sections. It's not a really big area. And to your point, I probably don't even need to redo the entire thing. It's probably just that area. You know what, Antoine, you're probably right. A spot top dress is probably a bit more sensible, right? I think you're correct. All right, Toucan Sam is up next. He says, also, is there another question? Is there a product I can use to maintain Bermuda in my tree beds that won't affect the tree in a negative way? You got to be careful, man. That same combination, glyphosate and fusilade, but you got to be careful. You don't want to spray the Bermuda to the point of runoff, because glyphosate can damage trees. So yeah, if you're spraying it like the way I show in my videos, where you're just like, you're almost like you're putting sunscreen on, like a nice light coat, it should be fine. But yeah, you always want to be careful around trees, around vegetable gardens, whenever you're using herbicides. All right, so next up is Andre Taylor. He says, what's up, Ron? Happy Friday. We'll be listening in while I help a neighbor core aerate. Light top dressing going down tomorrow. Man, you're a good friend, Andre. You are a good friend. You're helping a man aerate and you're going to top dress? I like it, dude. You're good people. You are good folk. All right, so SKQ90 is now in the live stream. They're saying, hey, Ron, thank God it's Friday. I live in the transition zone in California. What is the best seed for a putting green? Appreciate your advice. Yeah, so I'm not sure. I mean, where you are in California, it's hard to say. Most people, if you have a warm season grass, like a dwarf Bermuda, like Tiff Eagle is an option. If you got cool season grass, and like bent grass would be an option for a putting green. So I would look. Here's what I would do. I would look at what the golf courses in your area, like visit 1 or 2 of them, and see what, and ask either the super or ask the people at the pro shop will probably know too, but ask one of them like what kinds of greens they have, or even on their website they might even tell you what kind of greens they use, what kind of grass they use, and just do that. So whatever the local courses in your area are using on their greens, just do the same thing. Is what I recommend. That's going to be that's going to be your best bet. All right. John Williams is up next. He says, okay, Ron, I need your help. I'm putting in a whole new yard with sod. I'm putting down big yellow bag 2. Sounds good. Previously, my pH was low. Is it critical to do some lime, or can that big yellow bag fix that? I would do a lime application. I would. I would absolutely do a lime app. And you're saying, I'm laying down Bermuda. After I put down what's the best thing I can do, I'm getting a real mower soon too. Let's go golf course lawn. Yeah, so in your case, John, so if you're going out and you're doing like a really good preparation, what I would say is once you've got like a bare lawn, a heavy lime application, or lime application is appropriate. So if your pH is in below 5.5, I'd say like 30 pounds per thousand for lime would be good. So I would do that. And whatever fertilizer you're planning on using, if you're using the big yellow bag, like their compost, getting that put out and spread out would be good. Yeah, and then just lay your sod, and then you're off to the races. So yes, lime is like good soil pH critical for a great lawn? Yes, because it affects like nutrient availability. It affects like you got and you put fertilizer on your lawn. Like if your pH is if your soil is too acidic or it's too alkaline, it has an effect on on the ability of your lawns or your grass to be able to use the nutrients. So yes, it is a big deal. It's probably probably the most important thing to get right in your soil than probably anything else. Like pH is really a big deal. You really want to put some time into fixing that. And if you know that it's low, then given that you're going to be on bare dirt, great time to do a lime application. So yes, I would absolutely do that. Tony J5354 says, what up, Ron? Still working. All the products are doing well. I will be sending photos soon. Sounds like a plan. And then Emmanuel Jacobs is up next. He says, evening, Ron. I have been scared to jump on the PGR game due to my lawn having many bare spots. I was told if someone uses PGR on Bermuda, it will not spread and repair its bare spots. Is that true? No, it is not true. Here's the point. Like on my lawn, I had a few small areas that had some damage from spring dead spot, right? And my lawn has been under growth regulation since like late March. And those spots that had spring dead spot, they've largely, like the smaller ones have largely filled in already. And it's been under not just one growth regulator, two since March, every 2 weeks. So no, I mean, the thing to help fill in bare spots in a lawn are like temperature. So you want the lawn growing really aggressively, and then regular mowing. If you're dealing with a grass like Bermuda that creeps at lower heights, like if you can mow Bermuda shorter, you are going to encourage it to spread laterally, which will help the bare spots to fill in faster. All right, next up is Nino Sokana. He says, hey, Ron and everyone, now that I got Velocity PM, do I still need Sedgehammer and Quinclorac, or Velocity covers both of them? This POA thing is confusing me. That's a good question. I guess it depends on what weeds you're looking to control, Ninos. So if we look at yes, I don't see crabgrass on here. So no, yeah, you still need Quinclorac. So I'm looking at the label for Velocity PM, and it does control the two big boys, which we're after, Poa annua and Poa trivialis. Of course, dandelions, but I mean, you can just look at a dandelion sideways and it'll die. Some henbit, yeah. So and it does some sedge control, just yellow nut sedge. So yes, this is not a replacement for Quinclorac or Sedgehammer. Like Sedgehammer covers more sedges than Velocity does, and Quinclorac, I mean, big thing people use it for is like crabgrass and torpedo grass control, right? And it doesn't do, and Velocity does not do any of those. It's great for your Poa annua and Poa trivialis, but it's not what you want for these. Now, having said that, I would not mix anything else with this. If your question is, can I mix Sedgehammer and Quinclorac along with Velocity? I would not do that. Like if you read the guidance from the manufacturer, they're really clear. You don't want to even use surfactant with Velocity. So just water and the product. If you've got sedges still in your lawn, you can use Sedgehammer. It's probably a better product for sedge control. And if you've got crabgrass in your lawn, you can use Quinclorac, which is a better product for crabgrass. It's better because Velocity doesn't even cover crabgrass. So that is how I would go about it. Ninos, the big thing why you will use Velocity PM is to control Poa annua and Poa trivialis in a cool season lawn, and a ryegrass, fescue, and some Kentucky bluegrass cultivars. Like that's really what it's why people buy it. Not for those other things. So hope that helps, sir. Next up is Aaron S. He says, I rotary mow my zoysia at 1.5 inches, but it scalps the high spots. Would switching to a manual reel mower help with that, or would I have the same issue? Yeah, so a reel mower is going to have, a manual reel mower is still going to scalp, because the manual reel mowers only have there's only two wheels. So if you have like a dip or a low spot in the lawn, it's not going to be quite as bad as like what a rotary mower does, but it's still a lot more sensitive to uneven turf than say a power drill mower with a front roller and a rear drum. Because just as far as like what's suspending or supporting the mower, you just have just two wheels. And if either of those wheels go into a low spot, like the entire mower is going to tilt, which can cause scalping. With a mower with a front roller, you've got a lot more surface area supporting the mower. So if you got like one little low spot on one side, like the mower, even if it tilts at all, it's not going to tilt nearly as much as like a rotary mower or a manual reel mower. So you can try it. You might find that a push manual reel mower might not be quite as bad as the rotary, but it's still going to be sensitive to uneven more. It's still going to be more sensitive to an uneven lawn than like a full on reel mower, like a power reel mower that has a front roller and a rear drum. Just due to physics, it's just going to do a better. It's not going to do as good a job as something like that. All right, but try it out and see. You can see what you end up with. I would imagine it's going to not be as bad though as the rotary, but not as good as a real powered reel mower. All right, Adam Starks is up next. Says, hey, Ron and Lawn Crew. Hope you're having a wonderful Friday. I can't complain, man. I'm enjoying the show. Like button hit. Thank you so much, Adam. I really do appreciate that. Next up is James Carney. He says, when combining products in a backpack sprayer, for example, fertilizer, PGR, fungicide, insecticide, iron, is there a point to where you're combining too many products in a sprayer to be applied at one time? Yes and no. What I would say is this, James. So there's not a scenario for me anyway where I would do all of those in the tank at once. Mainly because if you think about like fungicide and insecticide, those products, typically when you apply them, you want to water them in. So the spray nozzle that you would use for a fungicide and insecticide app is different than what you would use for fertilizer, growth regulator, and like biostimulants. Like in other words, products that will benefit from a finer droplet size that rely on foliar uptake. So assuming they all could you could use they say you were spraying all that stuff in the year, they all relied on foliar uptake, right? The way to test it would be to do like a jar test. So get like a small amount of each of those products, have a mason jar with water in it, and add a bit of each of those products to the jar, get it suspended, and then just let it sit for 10 minutes or so. Make sure it doesn't do anything crazy like separate or gel or do anything like that. So outside of that, like if it passes the jar, if that combination passes the jar test, then you should be good to spray it on your lawn. But again, like you would not, for me anyway, I would never do all of what you're combining there all at once, because like the fungicide and insecticide really should be applied differently than than fertilizer and growth regulator. So next up is Matt Weba. He said, my buddy turned me onto your site after True Green nearly destroyed my zoysia. A soil test later, I have a full map to a healthy lawn. Nice, thank you. You are very welcome, Matt. Keep me posted as far as how it goes, man. I'm sorry to hear that. Lawn care service, maybe they made a mistake or something, and you had a bad result. But you doing it yourself, you can absolutely get a better result, which you should, right? Because you're going to be looking at it all the time. You're going to be out there a lot more often than they are. And frankly, you just care more, right? So you should get a better result because you're spending a lot more time on it. All right, Nino Siokana says, another question. Do you use the 22.3 fertilizer or 901C? I've been using the 22.3, but thinking to switch to 901C after I run out. Yeah, so I started the season out, Ninos, with the release 901C, mainly because of the slightly lower nitrogen that's in it. But then ever since the first application, it's been 22.3 for every other application since that. So since April, the 1st of April, every application for the liquid nitrogen has been the 22.3. Either one will work, man. It's really your call. You can go with either one of them. The 22.3 is, as far as like some of the design, there's some of the we were thinking behind when we were putting that together, is if you could just pick one liquid fertilizer that does a bit of everything really well. Like you've got like some iron in there, you've got each of the macros in it, you got some fulvic acid, you got some humic, you got just a bit of everything. That's what the 22.3 where it really shines. If you just have one, like if you want like a really basic spoon feeding program, you could just do that and humic max and away you go, right? But if you wanted to use release 901C, you can absolutely do that too. Either one will work well. It's not like you're missing anything by going one way or the other. They're both excellent products. They're both really good. I've used them both. They're both really good. All right. Mace May says, yes, FA10, the number, Ron. Thanks. Person asked me. Yep. So yeah, an FA10 or just say masonry sand or river sand. They'll be able to get you the same thing. That will work too. All right. Jay No is up next. Says, hello. Tomorrow I plan to cut my Bermuda Tiff Tuff for the first time. It was laid on 4/19 on April 19th. Should I bag clippings for the first cut? Going forward, how often and how low should I cut? It's currently at 2.5 inches. So yeah, the first mow, I would bag the clippings. I would catch them. I mean, here's the thing. I catch my clippings every time I mow. So you're asking the wrong guy. I mean, I catch my clippings on all the time. But if you want to do that for the first mow or two, yes, I would. And then as far as how low to go, I would not do a drastic height of cut change the first time you mow it. So if it's at 2.5 inches, you could set it so that your mower to like 2.25. And slowly over several mows over the next week or two, you can work your way down slowly to the height of cut that you want to maintain the lawn at. So I wouldn't go out there and go from like 2.5 inches to like 1 inch all in one go. I would slowly step it down. But but mowing is one of the best things you can do, Jay. Now, like you got that new lawn, as long as it's rooted in, which Bermuda side doesn't take very long to root in. Yes, mowing it is going to help stimulate growth. It's going to help it just to establish that much faster. And yes, I would catch the clippings the first few times you mowed it if it were me. All right. Next up is Jason Carney. He says, I'm getting a Rev 26 10 blade next week. Currently cut every third day around the fire department schedule. Is that adequate cutting schedule for the 10 blade? Currently cutting at 1/2 inch with the old McLean. Yeah, that should work, Jason. Now, when you get into the hotter times of the year, at 1/2 inch every 3 days is probably not going to get it done. You probably have to raise the height of cut up or or increase your mowing. So even with growth regulator, 1/2 inch. I mean, I think you're in Georgia. You got the big. Yeah, I assume you're in Georgia based on your avatar. June, July when it's hot, it's going to be a challenge maintaining it at 1/2 inch, mowing every third day. So I would just raise your height of cut. I would just go up to like 5/8, 3/4 of an inch. Like that would be better. It's still going to look really good. It's going to stripe better. And, if you can only cut the lawn every 2 to 3 days, then that is a more reasonable height of cut, in my opinion. And then, the 10 blade will be fine then. All right. Nino says, thank you for answering all my questions already. Gave you a big like. I appreciate that, sir. Thanks so much, Ninos. Thanks for all the love and support. Kyle Raymond says, hey, love the page. My lawn is lush and green minus a few spots. Seams compacted, no rocks underneath, very firm. What's a quick solution? So for compaction, you can core aerate it. That's what I would do. If either you do it or you could pay a service to go out and do it. Either one can work, but if it's compacted, then the best way, in my opinion, to relieve compaction is through mechanical core aeration. And that is relatively fast. They go out there within an hour or so, they core aerate it. And when you walk on the lawn afterwards, you're going to literally be able to feel like it moving around a little bit because it's going to open up all these voids, assuming they did a good job. So make sure whoever's doing it, that they make multiple passes, especially if they are using like rented equipment, like big box store equipment, because the tines don't tend to penetrate as deep and they are spaced far enough apart that you really want to make multiple passes to get a really good result from the core aeration. So yeah, that's what I would tell you to do, Kyle. And glad to hear the lawn is doing well. Next up is Top Gun 30. It says, do those battery-powered soil pH probes have any utility, or is lab testing the way to go? I've never used any of the battery-powered ones. I mean, they're probably okay, but I would just go out and just get it tested from a lab because like pH is just one of the things you need to measure, right? So for example, if you get a soil test done by the Predictive Nutrient Solutions, the guys that do my soil behind this, in addition to pH, they will tell you what all your other nutrient levels are, which is important. So, in the battery probes, again, they're probably okay, but they're not going to tell you what your nitrogen, your phosphorus, your potassium, your calcium, your sodium, with all your other nutrients. It doesn't tell you, not going to tell you any of that stuff, and you should know that as well too. So, I would get a soil test done if it were me. Next up is Rob O. He says, what's the ideal mowing height for Xeon Zoysia? I'm glad you have it in your front yard now. I mean, it depends, man. So Zoysia is used on golf courses. Like, there's a couple of courses in Atlanta that have Zoysia fairways. So they're at like 1/2 inch. So, so if you got a real mower, anywhere between half an inch to 2.5, 3 inches, you know what I mean? I personally feel that, if you can maintain zoysia a bit shorter, you're going to have less issues with less disease problems. So if you can verticut it every now and then and maintain it at lower heights, you're going to have less, it's going to hold less moisture, which is going to reduce the likelihood of you having disease issues. But anywhere from, if your golf course, half an inch, mine is at 3/4 of an inch, up to 2 to 3 inches. So there are some people, there's also some people that also don't maintain Xeon at all. Like there's this thing where you can like not maintain, like not cut Xeon zoysia at all, and it'll grow, like 4 or 5 inches, and it kind of slows down and stops there. It's a look. It's not a look that I like, but there are people that just don't even really mow it, and it only gets so tall. Like Bermuda, if you don't ever mow Bermuda, it will get to be it does not look good when it's not mowed. Whereas Xeon, left unmowed, it can still look okay, I guess. But in your case, what I would tell you, Rob, if you're going to be real mowing it, 3/4 of an inch to an inch is where I would be. That's what I would go with. I'm at 3/4 of an inch, like what you're seeing. Where's my picture? What you're seeing right here, that is Xeon at 3/4 of an inch. Again, it doesn't look that great yet because it's only 6 weeks old, but it will get better. If Mother Nature can cooperate, we can actually get some heat, it will really begin doing well. So next up is JVP. He says, "Sir, your channel has some great content, and you gained another follower. Thanks so much, man. I appreciate that. I have a question. I'm in Georgia, and I just installed Bermuda Tiff Tuff grass. Any suggestions for crabgrass and dandelions? Thank you." Yeah, so for crabgrass control, you can use a herbicide called quinclorac, JVP. I'll send you to a link to it right here. But what I would tell you, if it's brand new sod, and again, Bermuda is pretty tough. Like you have a hard time really hurting Bermuda, even if you want to. But if it's brand new, because you didn't say how new, you just said you just installed it. So by saying you just installed it, I'm assuming last couple of weeks. I would really like lay off of herbicides on it until it's well established. You're mowing it regularly. If you have to spray something, I would spot spray. I would refrain from a blanket spray of herbicides on a newly sodded lawn. Again, Bermuda is, you're going to have a pretty hard time hurting Bermuda, but just be super cautious. I would keep herbicides away from it. Mainly because if you over apply it, like if you just make a mistake, the lawn isn't that resilient as yet. If you spray it at proper rates, you're probably gonna be just fine. But I mean, if you overdo it, you spray somewhere a little bit heavy, you could cause some damage. If you are going to spot spray, or once the lawn is rooted in, you still want to go out and spray for crabgrass, quinclorac is what I would use. So this herbicide here is what I would point you towards. Crabgrass control. So that guy. All right. So check that out. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Hopefully that helps. And congrats on the new lawn. Next up is Joe Cox. He says, "Good evening. Hope all is well. Can I overseed my Bermuda grass with zoysia to thicken it up?" No, please don't do that. Nope. Hard no. Do not do that. No. Like Bermuda does not have a problem growing really thick if it is getting enough sunlight, if it's getting a good nutrient, feeding the adequate amounts of nutrient, and it's being mowed regularly. That's a big thing. If you mow it regularly with enough temperature and nutrients, it's going to be just fine. You're not going to have a problem with Bermuda getting thick. It'll get too thick, as a matter of fact. But you don't want to overseed Bermuda with zoysia, because it's just no. They're two completely different grass types. The growth rates of them are completely different. Visually, they look different. Color-wise, they look different. Just no. I would just tell you, just no. Just don't overseed Bermuda with zoysia. No, just pick one or the other. If you want zoysia, get rid of the Bermuda, put zoysia in. If you want Bermuda, don't overseed it with zoysia. So no, do not. I would hard no. Don't do that. All right. Next up is John Williams. He says, "So I currently have St. Augustine and Centipede in from." I'm not sure what the question is. So you have St. Augustine and Centipede, and so I'm doing Bermuda. How would I kill this current grass so I can sod Bermuda with no problems? So if all you have is St. Augustine and centipede, and you're doing a full renovation, just glyphosate. Like that's the least expensive way of doing it. Just use a non-selective herbicide to kill it off. If you are, yeah, that's what I would do. I mean, you could use quinclorac, but that's an expensive way of doing it because from what I understand, you have St. Augustine and centipede. You don't want either of them, and you're going to replace them with Bermuda. So use a non-selective herbicide like glyphosate to kill them off, and then sod the Bermuda. And then if you have any breakthrough of the St. Augustine or centipede, you can use quinclorac to control it because Bermuda tolerates quinclorac really well. Centipede and St. Augustine do not. So that's like your way of managing any centipede or St. Augustine breakthrough in your Bermuda lawn. So if that's what you're asking, I would get rid of it. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't use anything expensive to kill off your existing lawn, I guess is what I'm trying to say. All right. All right, Terrence Stamps is up next. He says, "Good evening, Ron, Golf Course Lawn Academy. I have patches of clover and wild purple violet. Once I spray the weeds with a herbicide, how many weeks to seed? I have cool season. And I'm worried that my fescue won't grow until fall." I would give it a couple of weeks, Terrence. But I mean, yeah, you are right. You are getting into the warmer, the hotter time of the year. So as far as like seeding a cool season grass. I mean, the thing is, it's fescue. Fescue does all right as long as you have enough water in the summertime. Like if you had ryegrass or KBG, I would tell you to wait. But fescue, you'd probably get away with it as long as you have the ability to water it enough in the summertime. It's probably going to be just fine. That's the one cool season grass that you actually see around here in Georgia. But yeah, I would give it a couple of weeks from the time you last did any herbicides before you either sod or put out grass seed to try and grow it in. All right. Then next up is Mace. He says, "So all this is moot if you're not going to perform a soil test." If I'm overemphasizing the importance of a soil test. Yeah, I mean, here's what I would say. Is that it's so inexpensive. Like if you look at what like one of these costs, they're like $30, $35 now. Like, I mean, they're not that expensive. And given the information you get from doing a soil test, even if you only do it just one time, like it allows you to make like decisions using actual data as far as like whether you need to make a pH adjustment in your lawn, like what fertilizer is the best for your lawn, how much fertilizer you should be using on your lawn, like all that gets answered with this. And given that they're not that expensive, like the returns that you get for what you spend are like way outsized. You know what I mean? Like fertilizer is expensive. All the stuff we put in our lawns is not cheap. It's not they cost money. And a soil test is a great way of knowing if what you're doing is the best fit for your particular lawn. So yes, I would do one. If you only do one time, it's still worth it. You know what I mean? So you at least be able to know, hey, this is where I'm starting. Here are the adjustments I need to make. You know, that data is worthwhile. It's worth doing it. All right. Next up is John Williams. He says, "My neighbor has centipede grass and I'm moving to Bermuda and the grass is going to be touching. What do you think is going to happen in Bermuda? Is it going to overtake the yard or the opposite?" So more than likely the Bermuda will overtake the centipede than the other way around. But as far as keeping their centipede out of your Bermuda lawn, you can use quinclorac to do that. But here's what I would do. If you want to be a good neighbor, I don't know how your lawns are set up, but if you can put some kind of a barrier in between your lawn and their lawn, that is what I would absolutely do, like a physical barrier, like pavers or something, because there's not really, for you, it's not that big a deal, but for them, if your Bermuda starts creeping into their lawn, there's not an easy way for them to get rid of it. You know what I mean? Like people talk about, like, I mean, people talk about like atrazine, but atrazine, it'll injure Bermuda a little bit, but it's not going to kill it. It's not going to control it. So your neighbor is going to get the worst end of this deal than you. This is what I'm trying to say. Like you have the ability to pretty much keep centipede out of your lawn. They don't really have the ability to keep their Bermuda out of their centipede. And unless you can put some kind of a physical barrier so they can actually see, hey, Bermuda's starting to creep over, starting to move in, even then, it's probably still going to eventually end up in their lawn where your lawns are nearby. But I mean, you at least want to make it, give it half a chance to where you don't want to, have your lawn invade into your neighbors. So So hope that helps, John. You're good. Not you probably. You are going to be fine. Your neighbor, probably not so much. So again, if it were me, I would put like a physical barrier of some sort in to keep your Bermuda out of your neighbor's centipede lawn. All right, DJ Rockefeller's up next. Says, hey Ron, I applied the weed killer yesterday. Celsius Uncertainty. When can I apply fertilizer? My lawn is 11 months old. I got a soil test and every category was low. Tomorrow, you can apply tomorrow if you want to. So there's not really a waiting time between whenever you sprayed like a post-emergent herbicide like Celsius Uncertainty and then you fertilizing the lawn. There's not really any need to wait. You could do them on the same day if you wanted to. But tomorrow, if you want to, you can go out there and put your fertilizer out and get on with life. Only thing I will tell you is if you put the fertilizer out, you're going to want to water that in. But the one thing, the only real limitation I would say you're going to have after you spray post-emergent herbicides for best results like Celsius Uncertainty is you do want to give it a few days from the time you sprayed to when you resume mowing. Outside of that, like an insecticide app, fungicide app, fertilizer app, doesn't really matter. You can do that whenever it's really convenient for you. It's more just whenever you want to resume mowing, mainly because you want to give the herbicide enough time to be absorbed by the plant that you're trying to get rid of, to control. All right, Rob H is up next. He says, I just bought a house in Central Texas. I haven't had to reno a lawn this bad before. What would you recommend to do? There's huge weeds, bald spots, and about an inch of dead leaves. The lawn is Bermuda. I would depending what you got, I would blanket spray the lawn with like a combination like Celsius Uncertainty. That's what I would do. Like that's going to do a really good job cleaning up a lot of weeds, and you'll be able to see what you're working with once the weeds are under control. So that is how I would go about it, Rob. It's what I did for not Alex, but the other neighbor that moved in here. This point, probably 3 years ago. At this point, like the lawn was all covered in weeds because the previous person moved out. There was no lawn service, and it was like a salad bowl. So Celsius Certainty and that application did a really good job. All the broadleaves were gone, and I had to go out and just do some spot spraying afterwards for Poa annua with Certainty, but then that was it. The lawn was in great shape after that. So that's what I would do. This is the combination. You probably don't know what I'm talking about, but you can find it on the Golf Course Lawn Store, and I will send you a link to it so you can take a look for yourself, Rob. At Rob H. There we go. All right. All right, C. Brown Masonry, he says, hey, Ron, I'm starting to get seed heads in my lawn. I want to sand level. Should I do that before I put plant growth regulator down? Here are my pictures. I don't have pictures from you, C. Brown, or I can get them before the show, so I'm probably not going to be able to see them, but I can look them after the show. So seed heads this time of year, completely normal. Like as soon as temperatures begin getting hotter, it's a stress response by your grass, completely normal. Like I have some seed heads in my lawn. Like if you look at this, pick this video right here, there are seed heads in the lawn. You just don't really see them because it's under, like growth regulator does a really good job suppressing them, and they're a lot less visual. So a lot less visible. So yeah, seed heads right this time of year, completely normal. Don't worry about it. And as far as sand leveling, if you're going to be going light, and if your lawn is already under regulation, you can continue to just keep up with your PGR inputs. If you have not yet started using growth regulator on your lawn, then just don't. Yeah, I wouldn't do that if you're planning on doing a big leveling project. Just wait till afterwards, and then you can introduce growth regulator. That is how I would go about it. All right, and yeah, I actually did get your picture. So you have a picture here showing how the lawn, current state of the lawn, current state, how it looks, and it's pretty nice. Looking good, Colby, I gotta admit. Looking nice, not bad. Color looking good. You got the mower there posing, styling and profiling. Your lawn looks a lot nicer than your neighbor's. It's coming in pretty well. And then another picture is right here. Also looks quite nice. Nice stripes. I like it, man. You're mowing like that pattern, like the 90 degrees, like the diamonds. Very cool. And it looks like that one area you were concerned about near the street is starting to fill in nicely. And again, that's going to get better once you get more temperature. Once it gets hotter and the Bermuda really begins to taking off, it'll be just fine. But if you've not used growth regulator yet, then I would just wait. I would do your top dressing and then let the lawn recover and then introduce growth regulator. All right, Lewis P. He says, hey, Ron, I have some Tipway 419 in the front and common in the back. Would you advise someone like me to plug from the front to thicken up weak spots in my back lawn or possibly take over? Thanks. No, I would not. If your back lawn is all common Bermuda and your front lawn is all hybrid Bermuda, I would keep them that way. I would not introduce hybrid into the common, and I would not introduce common into the hybrid, because it's this whole thing of it taking over is not, I mean, it's not going to happen in the time frame that you're thinking of. And visually, they just look really different. Like most common Bermuda, at least to my eye, is not as dark in color as a lot of the hybrids. The leaf texture is different. The growth rate is different. So no, I just wouldn't. If you have like a bare spot or weak spots in your back lawn, what I would do is take plugs from your back lawns, from the same grass as you want there, take plugs from that same from a part of your lawn's doing well, and transfer them into parts of the lawn that are not doing as well. But I would keep the common, and the hybrid. I would not mix them, because it's not, you're not going to produce a result that you're going to be happy with. All right, next up is Javier Ramirez. He says, I'm a landscaper in Naples, Florida. Pretty much all of our properties have zoysia. Thanks for your info. I've been learning from you to have the best lawns. Awesome, man. Love to hear that. And you guys are running Empire zoysia. Very, very cool. Love it, man. So with you, Javier, having Empire zoysia, if you guys have Bermuda, like wild Bermuda, you guys call it wild or common Bermuda, invading your zoysia lawns, something you're going to want to look into is this. You probably already have it. But as far as a way to get rid of Bermuda in zoysia, like this kit, the Recognition Fusillade kit, is the bee's knees. This is what you want for keeping Bermuda grass out of zoysia lawns, assuming any of your customers have that problem. All right. So there's something, and you can get into the weed control section under the Golf Course Lawn Store, or I'll give you a link. You can actually read about it. It's actually pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool product. There you go. Okay, moving on. John Williams says, what kind of Bermuda do you have? It is 419 and Arden 15. That's what I have. Next up is Mel Allen. He says, howdy, folks. Just finished real mowing the Palmettos, St. Augustine. Sent pictures for the show. Finally tried pineapple dragon fruit lemonade. Man, it is off. Isn't it good? It is good, man. It's pretty solid. I would have to agree with you, Mel. Ooh, my goodness. You know, again, I'm not normally a St. Augustine man, but gotta tell you, when you're good, you're good. When you are good, you are good. So let's show you here what Palmetto St. Augustine, and he real mowed it, what it's looking like. That's pretty solid. It's pretty solid, Mel. I gotta hand it to you. You know, it's looking good, man. Color looks really nice, and the lawn looks healthy. Great work. So anyone says you can't real mow St. Augustine, there you go. Mel's getting it done. Color looks awesome, man. Very nice work. And finally, next up we got Gavin Moore. He says, hey, Ron, I couldn't cut Miss Green today because of the rain. I plan on cutting on Saturday. Is now a good time for sea kelp and humic acid to be down on the lawn? Also, moisture management on the same day. Yeah. So as long as the lawn is actively growing, you can use biostimulants like kelp and humic acid. My lawn has been getting them since March. And so, yes, you can. And can use a moisture manager on the same day? Also, yes. No problem with that at all. My lawn story is up next. Is, hey, what's happening, Ron? And happy Friday. Went to shop for sod, and the sales guy was telling me emerald and Xeon zoysia were the same grass. He said this farm determines the name. I knew he was wrong. No, they're not the same. They are. A lot of people say they look very similar, but they are not the same grass. One's called emerald and one's called Xeon, so they can't be the same, right? No, they're not, because I'll tell you, like the neighbor, one of my neighbor, the neighbor across from Alex has emerald, and at some point I'll go over there and I'll film it, and then I'll film my lawn when it actually looks decent, when it's actually established, and you'll be able to see the color difference. But they are different. Some people say emerald's darker. Some people say Xeon are darker. People that have emerald say emerald's darker. People that have Xeon say Xeon's darker. I say they probably both look great. So they're both nice grasses. Can't go wrong either way. Offroad NV says, good evening, Ron. Enjoy the mow. And then DJ Rockefeller says, is it okay to apply granular fertilizer and liquid fertilizer immediately following? Yes, I do it all the time. There's nothing wrong with it. As far as the order, I would do like exactly what you said it. I would do the granular first and the liquid after. All right. Jimmy Miller says, hey, Ron, does storing lawn products in a hot shed hurt them? Granular fert, liquid fert, like the carbon kit, Celsius Uncertainty, San Antonio. So it gets pretty hot and humid. Yeah, I mean, really, you want to keep the temperatures cool. So if you can keep them 70s, 70 or lower, like that would be good. Like that's where I would want to keep the like stuff in the garage as much as you can. If you tell me that your shed is not insulated, it's going to be 95, 100 degrees in there, probably not the best for storing liquid products. The granular probably is not going to matter too much, but the liquids, yeah, it's not going to, you're probably going to have reduced life. And if you look at most herbicides, they will have, like on the label, they will have a storage recommendations as far as like temperature goes. So Celsius Uncertainty, I'll put it this way. I've stored Celsius Uncertainty in my garage for a number of years. Last year, I finally finished my first 10-ounce bottle of Celsius, and that bottle of Celsius was like 8 years old or something like that. I've had it for a long time, and it still worked great. But again, in my garage is insulated, so it does get cold in there and does get hot in there, but it's not like a galvanized shed where it's like everything in there is baking. So for whatever that's worth, I say, Jimmy, as long as it's not, if you're talking about an insulated garage or an insulated shed where the temperatures are not extreme for long periods of time, they should be just fine. Mace says, nice, C Brown, great job. I agree, man. It actually looks pretty good. Looks really good. I would have to agree with you on that. That stripe action is on point. Color looks good too. I like it. Looks good. All right, guys. This is our last question of the evening. This is Mr. Tyrus Hill. He says, I'm starting to see some cracking in some areas of my soil. Does it truly mean I'm not watering enough, or could it be cracking on the top layer? I'm in North Texas. Yeah, so it means you're not enough water. If it's turning into, yes, if it's cracking, you've likely got some compaction and it's not getting enough water to where you're starting to see that. So I would water more, Tyrus. You can also consider doing an aeration. That would be good as well. But yes, if your lawn is dry enough, if your upper layer of soil is dry enough to the point that is beginning to crack, then yes, you're not getting enough water. So I would put some more water on the lawn. All right. Well, guys, gals, that is our last question comment of the evening. If all goes to plan, next week I'll maybe have a few bags of Super Sod level mix to show you guys on the live stream when we put down next weekend. So I'm looking forward to that. It should be a fun time. As always, if you guys are in need of premium lawn care products, your fertilizers, biostimulants, plant growth regulators, if you got weeds in your lawn, you need to get rid of them, we've got you covered. Check out the Golf Course Lawn Store. We would love the opportunity to be part of your lawn care journey. Thank you guys so much. Have an amazing weekend. Get out there, do something fun in your lawn, mow it, look at it, water it, and I will see you guys next week. Have an amazing weekend.